Yes, May 7th, Board of County Commissions meeting to order. I would like to invite Reverend Eric Ashley from Clearwater United Methodist Church in St. Petersburg to give our invocation, and if Commissioner Justice would lead us in the pledge when we're finished, please stand.
Well, good morning, friends. I bring greetings from Clearview United Methodist Church on 38th Avenue and from District 3 of the county. Will you pray with me? Good morning, Lord, God of all faiths, people, and nations. May we all be united, living together in love and revealing your glory in all the world. Guide the people of this land and of all the nations in the ways of justice and peace, that we may honor one another and serve the common good. Give us all reverence for the earth so that we may use its resources wisely and in the service of others, honoring you, Creator God. Bless all whose lives are closely linked to ours, and grant that we may all live in embodied faith, loving one another as you love us. Comfort and heal all those who suffer in mind, body, and spirit. Give them courage and hope in their troubles, bringing the joy of your salvation. This day we commend to your mercy all who have gone before us, who have paved the way of goodness, compassion, and love in the journeys of their lives. And today, O God, be with the commissioners, presenters, staff members, and citizens as they conference and meet together. Give them wisdom and discernment in leading and caring for our communities. Lord, thank you for this special place we call home. May Pinellas County and its cities be a beacon of hospitality to all who work and play, live and visit for generations to come. We offer these prayers to you, O God, of many names and people. Amen and amen. To the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So I would like to call up Maxine Booker, the CEO of PEMS, Mickey Thompson, the CEO of 211 Tampa Bay Cares, and Kim Kernan, 988 Director of Tampa Bay Cares. I only have two. So Mental Health Awareness Month is May is Mental Health Awareness Month, and I have proclamations for both of these organizations. And many of you know that this is an issue that's really near and dear to my heart, and I've spent most of my career working on improving access to care for people with mental illness. So this one's a big one for me. It is vital that we discuss mental health and mental illness. 1 in 5 adults and 1 in 6 youth experience a mental disorder each year. 2 in 5 adults report anxiety and depression, and 2 in 5 teens describe persistent sadness and hopelessness. And 1 person in the United States dies by suicide every 11 minutes. The demand for mental health and addiction treatment services is increasing. Fortunately, recovery from mental illness is possible when people receive timely services and support. That is why in Pinellas County, we are very grateful to have a community of providers working with us to help those in need the most. I want to thank the women standing beside me for the difficult work they do, along with their committed staff. Working in this field can feel very thankless, but you are the ones that give people hope. So I want to thank you for coming, and I did just summarize that proclamation. It has lots of whereases and wonderful information, but I want to thank you so much for coming and for all the work you do. There is not enough gratitude that I can express for the work that you do. Thank you so much again. So we're gonna take a picture up here, and the commissioners are gonna come and join us, and you're gonna have to open up that wonderful folder for those photos. Okay, next is we have a Hospital Week proclamation. And we have a large team here from HCA, and we are going to recognize a lot of folks from HCA hospitals in Pinellas County. They have a large presence here. But not to admit that we have other wonderful hospitals in this county like Baycare and Advent Health and Orlando Health, and they've been great partners with us as well. But for right now, I want to ask Melissa Meshi with HCA's Government Affairs team, and she's going to facilitate the introductions. Melissa, thank you for your efforts in coordinating this. I truly appreciate it. And again, you've been another great partner for us. Thanks for coming. And do you want to introduce everybody and then I'll read it?
Sure thing.
Okay.
Like Chair Peters said, I'm Melissa Meschel with HCA Florida Healthcare, and I'm shorter than her. So today we're really so excited for this honor. So we have a big group from each of our hospitals here. So if y'all could just raise your hand when I say your name. First, we have Dr. Sebastian Strom, CEO of HCA Florida Largo Hospital. Diane Conti, Chief Nursing Officer of HCA Florida Largo Hospital. Elisa Long, HRVP of HCA Florida Largo Hospital. Tiffany Briggs, CCE Director of HCA Florida Largo Hospital. Emily Whalen, Registered Nurse at HCA Florida Largo Hospital. Now we have Michelle Jost, ER Nurse Manager at HCA Florida Northside Hospital. Marcia Balera, ICU Nurse Manager at HCA Florida Northside Hospital. Amrit Dillon, Interim CEO and COO of HCA Florida Northside Hospital, and Odun Atun Rashe, Chief Nursing Officer at HCA Florida Northside Hospital, and Carrie Johnson, CCE Director at HCA Florida Northside Hospital. 2 more hospitals to go, everybody. We have Brent Burrish, CEO of HCA Florida St. Petersburg Hospital and HCA Florida Pasadena Hospital. Dr. Ron Rasmussen, Chief Medical Officer at HCA Florida St. Petersburg Hospital and HCA Florida Pasadena Hospital. Christy Matta, ACNO at HCA Florida St. Petersburg Hospital and HCA Florida Pasadena Hospital. Alyssa Clementi, CCE Director at HCA Florida Pasadena Hospital. Ben Kirby, CCE Director at HCA Florida St. Petersburg Hospital. Linda Stewart, Nursing Director at HCA Florida Pasadena Hospital, and Danielle Mansourian, Nursing Manager at HCA Florida St. Petersburg Hospital. Thank you guys so much for being here.
So, and all of you are going to come up and we're going to take one great big picture, okay? So I'm pleased to present HCA Hospitals with this proclamation in recognition of National Hospital Week, which is celebrated May 12th through May 18th this year. Hospitals meet a critical function in our community and are often presented with serious challenges. Whether it's a global pandemic, caring for our aging population, or addressing community health needs like recovery from opiate addiction, they always rise to the occasion. Our partners at HCA are committed to overall health care and improvement of residents' quality of life. They treat more than 214,000 patients annually and have an economic impact of more than $584 million. Health professionals like those at HCA hospitals continue to shape Pinellas for the better. Thank you for your dedication to such a demanding field and for your partnership with Pinellas County. I want to invite Brent Burish, who is the CEO of HCA Pasadena and St. Petersburg. Before I do that, I want to come on up. While you're coming up, Commissioner Latvala has a comment, and I want him to maybe introduce her and have her come up, and then we'll have Brent speak.
Miss Emily Whalen, will you please come forward? Everyone here is special, and thank you all for being here. But Emily Whalen is a little more special, especially to me. I first met Emily on August 29th of 2020. And I have a horrible memory, but I remember exactly what day I met her because she is a nurse in the COVID wing at that time at Largo. And I was a patient there, and the first time I was there was for about 3 days. And I'm not even sure if I should have been there. It was pretty boring. I got released, and I really could have walked out, but they put everybody in wheelchairs and took them out. But I drove home. They gave me some medicine to take. And a few days after that, I returned to Largo via ambulance. And I will never forget I don't even remember what the EMTs looked like, but I remember one of them telling the driver, "We need to hurry," because my oxygen was at 82. And I didn't really know what the significance of that was at the time. But I had double pneumonia, COVID, and hypoxia, which I also didn't know what that was. But the second time I was at Largo, I was there for 9 days. And it was a much different experience. But Emily was one of the main nurses I had. And at that time, the world, was pretty much shut down. And all that was on TV on the news was COVID. And I didn't want to watch the news because it was basically telling you about COVID. And I didn't want to watch anything because it hurt to laugh. So she literally would sit in my room in the COVID wing, and we would watch Shark Tank together for hours on end. And I still think about her when I see Shark Tank on TV. Emily is a Daisy Award winner, which is the highest award that a nurse can get, both her and a gentleman by the name of Alex Potter, who's also a nurse at Largo. And it really, the first time that I saw a nurse there that was literally covered from head to toe, and all you could see was their eyes, is a very different experience. And that was really the first time I cried, was after my first nurse left, and I realized that they literally were risking their lives to save mine, and there were many nurses in Pinellas County that died saving people like me. And to that, the gentleman that was in the room right next to mine ended up passing away. And so thank you for being here. Thank you for everything that you did then and now. And thank you for all of your fellow nurses.
So I apologize, but you had to follow that. I know. And I do have proclamations for all of the CEOs.
Well, good morning. My name is Brent Burish. It's a privilege for me to serve as the CEO of HCA Florida Pasadena Hospital in South Pasadena, HCA Florida St. Petersburg Hospital, and here with my colleagues from HCA Florida Northside Hospital in Pinellas Park, HCA Florida Largo Hospital in Largo, and Largo West Hospital near Indian Rocks. We have a mission statement. Above all else, we are committed to the care and improvement of human life. Thank you, Commissioner Peters. Thank you, Commissioner Laval, for sharing your story, to the county commissioners, to the staff, to the county administrators. This proclamation means so much. Collectively, our hospitals employ nearly 3,500 people in Pinellas County. We have over 600 credentialed medical staff members, and we have further partnerships within HCA Healthcare in Pinellas County with Galen College of Nursing, ambulatory surgery centers, MD Now urgent cares, freestanding emergency rooms, and additional sites of service representing over 6,000 people dedicated to the care and improvement of human life for this county. Your recognition of them means so much. May is a celebration. It's National Nurses Week. It's National Hospital Week. Then we get to collaborate with you all at National EMS Week and celebrate our first responders. The ability to recognize the selflessness, the story that you shared, represents so many people. 2 quick stories I will share. Last month was National Donate Life Month in partnership with LifeLink. I had the chance, along with 50 others, to stay one evening for what's called an honor walk as a family gave the gift of organs. Later the same week, we heard a proclamation and then a patient testimony at Largo Hospital from a liver transplant patient whose life was extended and improved because of the care provided in this community. It's that selflessness that represents the team that we're up here supporting today. And on a personal note, our family welcomed another child in February at HCA Florida St. Petersburg Hospital. We live in St. Petersburg. We had the choice where to go. Our son has kept us on his toes. His name is Mark. He came on a weekend. That wasn't the plan, so I didn't have the designated team, the choice nurse. I never once worried. I trusted our team, and that care, like families, extended to everybody else. We're blessed as a family. We have an extended hospital family, so I'm going to invite them to come up, and they all deserve the recognition to be part of these proclamations and pictures. Thank you to the county administrators.
Thank you again, everybody come out. I know you're all really busy at the hospital, and we appreciate you coming out to celebrate Hospital Week with us. Next, I'm going to move on. It's National Public Works Week. And to accept the National Public Works Week proclamation, I'm inviting the following members of the Public Works team. I want to start with Heidi Bing, the Electronics Equipment Technician, number 3. Kyle Steele, Data Management Analyst. Rashad Burian, Assistant Operating Manager. Amber Hauser, Project Coordinator, Ernst Williams Field Operations Supervisor. Delvin Gibson, Construction Engineer Inspector 3. Alexander Ryman, Project Coordinator. And Adam Kine, Environmental Program. We just have large groups to celebrate today. I think it's wonderful. Is that everybody? Okay. So public works professionals help meet some of the most core functions of local government, and that's an understatement. They focus on infrastructure, natural environment, and services of vital importance to public health, quality of life, and well-being of the residents and visitors in Pinellas County. These critical services could not be provided without the dedicated efforts of public works professionals who are engineers, scientists, managers, and employees at all levels of government and the private sector, who are responsible for rebuilding, improving, and protecting our nation's transportation, stormwater, coastal, potable water, and solid waste systems, and other structures and facilities essential for our citizens. I want to thank you for your incredibly hard work, and you truly are the heartbeat of Pinellas County. So thank you so much for being here. I have a proclamation. I don't know who's accepting this. Are you accepting this? Okay. And again, we're going to have our commissioners come up. We're going to take a photograph. You've kind of seen the drill. Thank you so much for your work. Thank you so much. Okay, and next we have the National Historic Preservation Month proclamation. To accept the National Historic Preservation Month proclamation, I'd like to invite the following staff to join me at the podium. I'd like to ask Tom Schofield, Principal Planner, Housing and Community Development, Allison Dolan, Vice Chair of the Historic Preservation Board, and Monica Drake, Operations Manager of Heritage Village. Welcome. Thanks so much for being here. And I have a proclamation for each of you. Since 2005, we have celebrated May as National Historic Preservation Month. It's important to acknowledge, understand, and remember our national, state, and local history and the contributions made by dedicated individuals and organizations in helping to preserve the heritage that has helped shape us as a people and a society. Countywide, over 15,000 historic resources have been documented to date. 61 individual properties and 10 historic districts have been listed on the National Register of Historic Places, totaling over 7,700 historic buildings, structures, and sites. Historic preservation is supported by the County Commission, the Pinellas County Historic Preservation Board, Heritage Village, and by municipal commissions, and boards, as well as a dedicated staff and volunteers at local preservation associations and societies. I want to thank you all for being here, and thank you so much for all your efforts to preserve our history. Thank you so much. And we're going to invite the commission also to come up. Okay. So number 5 we have is going to be our legislative update. And I would like to ask our partners to come on up and give a presentation. So if Laura Beamer and Michael Moore, the consultants for Southern Group, and I want to welcome you and thank you for being here if you want to come on up. Thanks so much.
All right, well, good morning, everyone. It's nice to see you. Thank you for inviting us to come today to give you an overview of the 2024 state legislative session. I have with me my partner, Mike Moore. I just want to, again, thank you for trusting us to represent you in Tallahassee. And I also want to thank each one of you who came up during session and helped lobby for the county, specifically Commissioner Flowers. You could get up here and give this presentation for me. So appreciate that. And also want to thank everyone who came to our 25th anniversary, specifically Chair Peters. She did an amazing job on our panel discussion, and just want to thank everyone for their attendance. So, start with some session statistics. This year there were 1,957 bills filed. That's a little bit more than last year, where there was 1,873 bills filed. The interesting thing was there were 325 bills that passed both chambers, and last year there were 356, which was the most bills that have passed both chambers since 2006. Just some budget highlights. So this was a record-breaking year, barely a record-breaking year. Last year we had a $117 billion budget. This year it was $117.46. And they did include $10 billion in reserves. And you can see the breakdown of the different budget silos. Just to highlight our budget items this year, we received $1 million for the East Lake Road and Keystone Road intersection improvements, $650,000 for the Ridgecrest Neighborhood Water Quality Improvement Project, and then $1 million for the emergency generator replacement. As you all know, the governor has not yet received the budget, so this is all subject to the veto, so we will await the governor receiving the budget, and hopefully we will have good news to report after that happens. Just going to go through a few of the budget highlights. This year, the affordable housing programs were again funded, not quite to the levels they were last year with the Live Local bill passing, but the SHIP was funded at $174 million. SAIL, $234 million, and then the Florida Hometown Hero Housing Program was again funded at $100 million. The work program was funded, the Transportation Work Program was funded at $13.98 billion. And then again, they funded the cybersecurity grants for local governments. If you remember last year, they funded this program and none of the funding was actually awarded. And so actually we went into budget conference and there was no money in the budget on either side for this program. And we were able to convince the House and Senate to reallocate the money from last year to this year so that local governments can apply for these grants. Let's talk about the environment. The Resilient Florida Grant Program was funded this year at $150 million. Last year, it was funded at $356 million. Just let's show you the difference in that one. Florida Forever was again funded at $100 million. Visit Florida was again funded at $80 million, just like last year. And the Florida Job Growth Grant Fund was funded at $130.4 million, which was up from $75 million from last year. Just some key legislation that passed. This was just the clarifications to the Live Local bill. There was language included, which we're going to talk about in a second, that was in the tax package, was passed at the end of session. These are just the tweaks that were made. We haven't even gone through a full year of Live Local yet, so they're still trying to kind of make their way through this. At one point during session, there was talk about removing the industrial land piece of the legislation, but that got pulled back for a variety of reasons. Let's talk about tax package. This session, we again have 4 sales tax holidays. For those of you who drive a lot like me, there's a $450 million in the toll relief program. If you travel through tolls 35 times in a month, you get a 50% credit to your account the following month, which is kind of cool. And then there's also 1-year relief for residential property insurance policy holders on their insurance premium tax and the state fire marshal assessment. That is a tax that's on your residential property insurance policy, and so everyone will see that between October 1st and September 30th. Just so you do know, I'm sure you are aware that the House and Senate were talking about toying with the tourist development tax referendums. There was a lot of talk about a 6-year appeal, a 10-year appeal, prescribing how the TDT money is used, but we were successful in making sure that there was no language at the end of the day in the tax package relating to the tourist development tax. So this is what we were talking about earlier, and I don't know if, Mike, if you want to talk a little bit about this, because you're kind of keenly aware of what went on with this. I was involved a little bit more than I was. I'm sure you're aware, Pasco County had some issues specifically with this missing middle property tax exemption. They had a number of properties who were applying to the county commission to get essentially taken off the tax rolls. So they added this provision in the tax package, literally the last day of session, that says if you are in the Schimberg Center for Housing Studies and you can prove that you have no need, then you can be exempt from that.
You hit the nail on the head. 100% correct.
So just real quick, some other key legislation that passed. Another expedited approval of residential building permits went through. The alternative mobility funding system bill, that was just to bring coordination between local governments when some are imposing mobility fees and some are imposing straight impact fees. The vacation rental bill did pass this session. It remains to be seen if the governor signs it or not. He does not have it yet. The bill does include the grandfathering provisions and allows for reasonable fees for registration and for inspections, and allows for up to $500 in fines. So this one, I'm sure you heard a lot about. The governor's already signed it. He signed it back in March. This is the unauthorized public camping and public sleeping bill. As you know, the county's governing body can approve by a 2/3 vote to allow for cities to provide for public right-of-way for public sleeping or camping. If they decide to do so, they have to get certified by the Department of Children and Families and meet a bunch of criteria. The one thing I will mention that you'll see the last bullet point, says a person or business authorized to bring a civil action against the county or the city if they violate any of the prohibitions or conditions of their certification. So the deregulation of the public schools bill, why were we following the deregulation of public schools bill? There was language in the bill that that changes the requirement that school districts provide staff to facilities during an emergency for emergency shelters. Now they only have to provide staff to access the facilities. This was language that was actually agreed upon by the Florida Emergency Managers Association. So now cities and counties just have to work it out with the school districts and provide that in their county emergency management plan and program. Mike, do you want to talk about the PACE bill?
Well,
No. Okay, I'll talk about the PACE bill.
we're still waiting for the governor to receive the PACE bill.
Yeah.
He still hasn't received it.
So this will require cities and counties to have a ordinance in order to have a residential PACE program. There was a lawsuit filed, and so we needed some clarification in the statute to require that these resolutions are, that are required so that you can have a residential PACE program.
Yeah, I can jump in. That was some of the concerns amongst, obviously, counties, tax collectors, and property appraisers alike, county commissions, that there was this lawsuit that was filed by a certain PACE provider. Most disagreed with the outcome of that. So there was some language put in this year on the PACE bill, which basically states that you do have to have a local ordinance in place to allow the PACE to be within your county. That provides a protection for the counties. That was an objective, one of our objectives, to assist by putting some language in that PACE bill.
So local regulation of non-conforming and unsafe structures, this was a result of a lot of the storm damage down in South Florida. It was already signed into law by the governor on March 22nd. Building regulation, this is just some more statutory framework for the approval of building permits. It's another shot clock bill. This was filed by Senator Sigley, and he worked very closely, that I'm sure Representative Flowers can attest to, with the Florida Association of Counties and the League of Cities on this bill. So everyone was in agreement by the time this passed. The Florida Retirement System bill, I know you've talked about this before, and as you know, we were all happy to see that the cost of living adjustment was not included in the final bill. Doesn't mean they won't bring it up, in next session or the session after. I believe that it will be, discussed, in the next few sessions, but it was not in the final bill that passed. We followed the special district bill. I know in talking to your staff, at the end of the day, we were okay with the changes that they made to the implementation of the special districts. And then the Department of Ag and Consumer Services bill, that included language that actually preempts the regulation of electric vehicle charging stations to the state and prohibits local governments from enacting or enforcing any regulations on that. That bill actually was signed recently. I don't have my notes in front of me. Recently, May 1st. The annual adjustment to the homestead value, the homestead exemption value was HJR 717, which means there's going to be a constitutional amendment on the ballot in November that would just allow for the homestead exemption to increase by the consumer price index. As you know, they talked a lot about possibly doubling the homestead exemption, which would have been very disastrous to our budgets, and that did not move forward. The Senate had no appetite for that. And then lastly, continuing contracts. This bill increases the maximum limit for contracts covered by CCNA from $4 million to $7.5 million plus an annual increase on the CPI. So what did not pass? County Commissioner term limits did not pass. Sovereign immunity got farther than we've ever seen it get before. There is no doubt in my mind the bill's coming back next year. The two sponsors are still in the House and Senate and are very adamant on passing something during their tenure. There was a couple bills filed to reduce the local business tax, a couple of bills that would have reformed how municipalities can charge for utility rates. Obviously, we talked about the tourist development tax reform, the prescribing, and the making us go back out to referendum. That did not pass. Unfortunately, Senator Hooper's electric vehicle license tax bill did not pass this session. We expect it to come back next year in some way, shape, or form. Barry and I have talked to the senator about some other alternatives dealing with gas tax indexing. So we hope to continue those conversations going into next session, and then again, doubling the homestead exemption. So what's next? We have a long break because of election season. The committee weeks will commence sometime in November, and we formally announce this summer, and then regular session begins March 4th of next year. So with that, we'll take any questions.
Commissioner Justice.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Mike, Laura, for the great work during session. We appreciate it. And if you don't have the answer to this, if you can find out, What is the deadline for the legislature to submit the budget to the governor?
There isn't one. I mean, obviously before July 1st, right?
Right.
But there's no specific timeline.
Okay.
I get asked that every year.
Commissioner Flowers.
First of all, I want to say thank you for allowing me to rest my feet in your office, because there's a lot of walking up and down those hills. But I really appreciate it, and I appreciate your flexibility in being available to me to provide me with information, because the days and the meetings go so quick that when you leave one committee, something else has happened, it's hard to keep up. I know I sent an email to you relative to a potential for for a special session, focused or centered around immigration at that time. There was some ambiguity as to whether or not that would happen. My concern is, because of that special session, it's gonna hold up everything else, of course. So do we have any updates on that?
Yeah.
As far as last I saw, the Senate has yet to agree to a special
Okay.
session.
Okay. Just trying to keep a track on that, because a lot of things that we would love to be signed and move forward could be held up as a result of that. And then, unfortunately, sometimes bargaining chips are put in by things that have already been approved by both chambers. So that's why I'm just trying to keep an eye on that.
Keep you updated if we hear anything.
Okay. And my last question is relative to affordable housing. I serve on the COC as a representative for the commission, and one of the things certainly was not an increase in the affordable housing, transitional housing, SHIP funding, things of that nature, because we see what's going on throughout the state of Florida when it comes to housing. But there was one comment, and I want to make sure that I'm clear. Maybe you know the answer and maybe not. As it relates to the public sleeping, camping in a car, camping outside or sleeping in your car, one of the component pieces that we were discussing was whether or not there was language that stated that when persons are detained because they're sleeping outside or camping outside or in their cars, that they should be offered facilities that we have available for them. And if those facilities aren't available, and if we don't have beds available, then that person can't be detained because we don't have a place for them to go. So do you know if that is
my understanding.
accurate within the language? Okay. I just wanted to make sure, because there was a lot of back and forth on the committee, and I didn't want to speak out of turn. I thought that was what the language shared, and I know that Senator Roussan has been communicating with Chief Holloway and Sheriff Bob Gualtieri and others about how to look at this and address this based on the ramifications that could potentially occur. But that was my question, if there was clarification on
And
that.
Commissioner, I can address that later,
Oh.
specifically about the way in which we're going to implement that
Oh,
bill.
okay, all right. Then, there you go. Thank you very much, and again, thank you, and I look forward to the upcoming year.
Okay, any other questions, comments? Commissioner Eggers.
Yeah, again, thank you for the work you all do up there. Appreciate all of that. Just a couple of things. First of all, on vacation rentals, we've been getting a lot of calls from a lot of residents about how the nature of their communities are changing because of this, because of the, I guess, influx of so many vacation rentals. You talked about, I guess, the enforcement side of it falls on all of us here. We're talking about some things to look into that, to respond rapidly to situations, not have our sheriff people do it, but really have our own code enforcement. You talked about a $500 fee or fine for a fee. What is that for? And is that limited just to the owner? Is it limited to the person who's occupying the vacation rental temporarily, or both, or
It's for the operator.
for the operator, not for the person that's living there that week? Can that person be fined at all? Is there any limitation to that fine for?
I don't see that
We would have to,
I don't see that being possible, how this legislation is written. The only time it's mentioned in the fine in the legislation, in the bill, refers to the actual operator.
So it would be a $500 fine.
Mike, you're going to have to go to the microphone so it gets recorded.
There would have to be that would be a $500 fine per occurrence to the owner, the operator. So if two people came in successive weeks that were creating problems, you could fine each time that $500 to the operator?
And we have Kevin here if you'd like for him to address it separate from this.
That's fine. I mean, I thought, well, we had them. We can talk about that later.
Okay.
I just thought,
What the state says allows $500, up to a $500 fine for the operator.
it doesn't really, it's not addressing per occurrence.
It does not state per occurrence.
Okay, well, thank you.
Commissioner, Madam Chair, if you don't mind. The governor still hasn't received this bill, and I'm going to give it a coin flip if he signs it right now. That's my feeling on it. I've heard that it's not 100%.
Okay, thank you. And then two other things real quick. Appreciate your comments on the gas tax fund. I mean, there's obviously a problem there. It's not funded properly, and there's a couple alternatives. Hopefully that'll come back next year. Thank you for working with Senator Hooper and our staff on that front. And the Public Safety Coordinating Council took up that conversation yesterday about the camping issue, trying to make sure everybody in the room, because there's so many elements around that table at our meeting that are involved in this. It was interesting to hear what you said, though, about offered but not available, so they won't be detained. That wasn't really brought up in conversation yesterday, so that's an important distinction, because if not, our jail could be overflowed, pretty quickly. So, but anyway, thank you for that clarification. I think that's important. Appreciate it. Thanks again for all your work.
Commissioner Long.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good morning, Laura and Mike. It's nice to
morning.
be
Good morning.
here today. My question is, do you know what the local bill calendar deadlines are yet?
Oh, gosh, no, but I could guess. See, regular session's March, so I would say January-ish.
Well, if you could find out for certain, that would be really helpful. Thank you.
Any other questions or discussion? Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
And before we go on to the next thing, I just want to, when I was talking about all the wonderful hospitals we have in our county, I failed to mention one of the most amazing hospitals, which is All Children's, and Kathy Gillette is here, and it's another wonderful gem and resource that we are lucky to have in our county for our children and our residents. Next, I want to go to our next partner presentation. I'd like to call up Ken Burke, who's the clerk of the court and comptroller, and Jeff Wolf, shareholder with MSL CPAs and Advisors, for our annual comprehensive financial report. I want to welcome you and thank you for being here.
Madam Chair,
Yes, Commissioner Long.
before Clerk Burke starts his presentation, Mr. Clerk, are we going to get a quiz on this?
Yes, you are.
Thank
We expect you to pass.
Got it.
Well, first of all, thank you for having me here today, and thank you for Commissioner Long for that question. No, you're not going to get a quiz on it because we're going to help you a little bit today with what the content is here today. There's several things I want to cover, and the financial reporting is obviously a item that we should be very proud of because we're very transparent in Pinellas County with our financial reporting. Not only does the clerk site have a spending in the sunshine with list every bill we pay, every employee who gets a paycheck, lists their salary and year-to-date compensation. I don't think there's probably another government in Florida which is as transparent with our finances as we are in Pinellas. And I think we should take great pride in that. The reports that we put out are required reports. We put out this report, which is in front of you. This is the annual comprehensive financial report. This goes to GFOA and is graded. And the importance of that grade is, and it's going to be more important as things come along in Pinellas County, this goes into our bond rating. When you have their certificate of excellence, that's taken into consideration when you're rated as far as a credit risk. And so that certificate of excellence can turn into literally hundreds of thousands of dollars based on a more favorable credit rating. So that report is this one here. Then we have what's called the annual financial report. This is required by the state of Florida. The difference between these two reports is this report contains all the constitutional's individual financial statements. So this wraps it all up into a consolidated format. This one presents to each of the constitutional's individual statements. It's really the only big difference between the two. This report is an optional report that we've been doing for the past 15 years. It's what's called the Citizens Report. This consolidates everything that's in this report into an easy-to-read financial report for our citizens. We've given you, I think, around 20 or 30 copies of this. If you need any additional copies when you go out and speak to groups and would like to have these with us, just let us know and we'll be glad to get you additional copies of this synopsis. This is like an executive summary of what's contained in those other reports. Now, in these reports, the clerk's office and our finance division, and we have Jeanette Phillips and Nicole and Bill, who are our financial leadership teams, wave so everyone knows who you are, they are the ones who put these financial statements together. The auditor will tell you his contribution is just a few pages in this. Probably less than 10 pages altogether from the audit report. We have to submit these financial statements for him to be able to audit. And so you can, again, take great pride because we, as Jeff will tell you, we've received a very clean audit. It's a new audit firm that we've dealt with this year. Our old firm, Crowe and Associates, didn't bid on our request for proposal. They're getting out of the government auditing business. I have to say the transition, which is always very apprehensive to those of us who have to change auditors, it's been very seamless, and I want to thank you and your firm. You all did a magnificent job for us. I do want to cover a couple other points, too, before I turn it over to Jeff for the audit presentation. Yesterday, we had the investment committee meeting early in the morning and lasted for an hour and a half. Chris from the county staff and Jim from the county staff, along with clerk officials, public trust advisors, which are our investment firm, Prague, which is our bond debt firm, all participated in the investment committee meeting that we had. And I have some good news here. And it's, I wish I can claim credit, but really it's Mr. Powell and the Fed who deserve the credit. Our investment income this past fiscal year was over $67 million. $67 million of investment income. And we invest very conservatively, as you know, because we're supposed to do it that way. But our staff worked very hard to make sure that we were getting the best yield possible, knowing that things have to be secured, and we ladder our portfolio so that we will not, if there's a change in interest rates, it won't be drastically affected all at one time. Now, out of that $67 million, $17,700,000 was awarded to the general fund of the county. Each fund has to be assigned the interest earnings. We just can't keep it just in the general fund. So it doesn't all go to help with the general fund, but it goes to help each of these funds that we have within our county. And we actually have an accounting of every fund and how much interest income they received over this past year as a result of our investment income. So I want to thank our clerk staff who stay on top of our investments to make sure we're getting maximum yield while at the same time making sure that preservation of capital, which is our number one concern. The other item I want to bring to your attention is that we talked about, when I visited you all last time, was the internal loan policy that we are proposing to y'all. Nothing's easy, and it's made more complex than I even thought it was going to be. We've had a lot of different comments. The county attorney's office has reviewed it, our investment firm has reviewed it, our bond counsel firm has reviewed it. It's gone through a lot of iterations to make sure that it meets all the proper standards. We're going to be proposing that and bringing that to you in July for your consideration. And so that's going to help us in case, and God forbid, we have a hurricane that hits Pinellas County and there's an immediate cash need. We've learned from the counties which have been affected by this, Bay County up in the Panhandle, Lee County to our south, and there's tremendous cash needs that need to take place immediately when this happens. And to facilitate that, rather than going out and getting a line of credit with a bank, which is expensive, and we'd have to pay each year even if we didn't use it, this allows us internal borrowing and saves the county money. It's just a prudent thing to do. But you have to have this policy in place to be able to do that. So we're going to be bringing it to you in July. I think you're going to find it's going to be well thought out. And I appreciate we are favorable consideration come July. I'll probably be here visiting with you again at that point. Now I'm going to turn it over to Jeff Wolf, who is our auditor, for his audit report. Oh, one other report which we do have, which is always our favorite report. It's not yet in fancy print form, but that's our debt report. And he'll show you that we have, we're the county with among the least debt of any major county. Oh, you have it there. You got it before I did. How did you get that, Mr. Justice? Really? But you see, we're down to under $80 million of bond debt, which with a county like this is just unheard of. And it's all sewer debt, the debt for our county. There is, because of new accounting rules, as Jeff could tell you, there's some other items which are considered debt, but we really consider the bond debt as the real debt that you look at. Jeff?
Thank you, and good morning. Before I get started, I do want to thank the board for allowing us to serve you as your external auditors. We work for you and a constitutional officer, so we appreciate that opportunity. Again, I want to echo Ken's comments on the transition. It's never easy changing auditors. There's a lot of questions that staff gets, some additional work, but I will say it was one of the smoothest transitions we ever had from our side, so I really want to thank both clerk staff and board staff for their assistance, because it's never easy, transitioning. And lastly, I will just say, we'll see on the slide, we are celebrating 50 years as a firm in Florida, so we are very proud of that. So it is a big year for us. But with that, I'll get right into it. The required communications is part of your agenda packet. It's very standard driven. I'll just touch on a couple key items. First is our responsibilities, and really mainly it is to perform an audit in accordance with applicable standards, and then also render opinion on whether your financial statements are materially correct. As Ken mentioned, management responsibility really is to produce the financial statements. It is management's ACFR's, not the auditors, so they are responsible for that. We do test internal controls and compliance. However, it really is just to help plan our audit. We don't render opinion on those controls, but if we did notice anything of significance, we would communicate that to you. There's no difficulties at all during the audit. Again, everybody was very helpful, a very smooth transition. No unusual accounting conventions, meaning there's no transactions that weren't in accordance with GAAP or weren't recorded in the proper period. Again, no disagreements with management on any accounting treatments. And then also, I think this is a real key item, there was no audit adjustments, meaning the trial balance we didn't have any changes to that. So as you request, you get financial information all the time. I think it's really important to know that you can rely on that information, that you're getting, solid data. And then lastly, we completed the audit schedule in accordance with our engagement letter. So on to the service and deliverables, and there is a lot, and I will apologize, it is repetitive, but that is a good thing. First is our independent auditor's report. That is the report on whether your financial statements are materially correct. That was an unmodified opinion. That is the highest level of assurance you can receive. That is a clean opinion. That's the best you can get. Our next report is our report on internal control over financial reporting and on compliance. Again, this is the report that there's no opinion, but if we notice any significant deficiencies or material weaknesses, we would note that. But again, no findings, no issues noted in that report. Once again, you met both the federal and state single audit thresholds, meaning you exceeded $750,000 on the federal and the state side, which you're going to do every year. So part of that, we audited 5 federal programs and 2 state projects. All had unmodified opinions, no material weaknesses, no significant deficiencies, or no findings or questions caused. So again, a clean report. The next report is the Auditor General Required Management Letter. This report does several things. First, it requires us to review the county's financial condition. There's a set of questions that basically compares the county with other similar counties and also looks at your trends. Honestly, one of the best results I've seen in a long time. I mean, you're in a very favorable position financially, so obviously no issues there as it relates to financial condition or financial emergencies. If there's any other findings or recommendations that quite didn't meet that level of the internal control report, we would also report that. But again, no findings or no issues noted in that report. Our next report is the independent accountant's report. This really just covers compliance with investments, Florida statutes, and also the E911 funds. Again, no non-compliance, no issues noted. And then lastly, we also had agreed upon procedure report on the solid waste management facility. Again, no findings or no exceptions. Also, just remind, we do separately audit all constitutional officers. They were also very, just the cooperation within the county is really excellent. They were very helpful, and they all had unmodified opinions. We also audited the Community Redevelopment Agency. That also had an unmodified opinion and no findings or no issues noted. And then lastly, we reviewed the PFC charges as required for the FAA for the airport. No findings or no issues noted with that report. So just keeping up with what you've received in the past, we did do a couple comparatives of how the county matches up with some similar counties. You can see Palm Beach, Hillsborough, Lee, Orange, and Polk. And we just took the 2022 and 23 information for Pinellas and compared it to the 22 information for those counties. So as you can see, kind of, is your general fund assigned and unassigned fund balance. Really, I think the key number of that is the chart on the left that shows you have a 37% unassigned assigned fund balance of your total expenditures and transfers out. And that's really, it's kind of mentioned, that's your ability to weather any emergency or anything that comes up. You have that fund balance that you don't have to make drastic changes to your operations. So, and as you can see, comparative to other counties, you do very well. And again, that's a very strong number. And up from 31% in the prior year. Then lastly, just showing your debt, that very, very small little column on the left, you're actually down to, I believe it's, the per capita debt is $117 compared to $140, which you're well below your peer counties. So again, I think really, the takeaway from really the audit is, not only are you sound on your internal controls and your financial reporting, but also you're very sound financially and in good shape for the future. But with that, I'll be more than happy to answer any questions on the audit or anything that I've covered today.
Commissioner Flowers has a question.
Thank you. Sorry. Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you very much. As Mr. Burke knows, I do read the CAFR report. So, Janet, that's my homework assignment. But question, for the GASB 87 changes as it relates to lease equipment, does that affect us? Because I know we have a lot of equipment that we use throughout our departments. Does that affect us greatly, a little bit, not much at all? Because I think that was really the only change.
We had to review every single lease as part of our financial responsibility of implementing 87. I think there was close to 200 leases that we reviewed. Bill, how many did we have to reclassify? I believe it was 40. Okay, and 40 had to be reclassified into debt. So we've complied with GASB 87.
And actually, the new standard this year was GASB 96, which is a very similar standard to the lease standard, but just related to IT arrangements. Similar idea, brought on long-term debt and capital asset, but that was even a more significant challenge for staff, because you really had to review every single IT agreement and see if it was applicable to that standard. So even though it didn't have a huge financial impact on the statements, that was a significant task, that done by staff that, was implemented correctly.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thanks for the question.
Any additional questions? Commissioner Long?
Yeah, well, I do have a question. I just am I'm struggling figuring out how to ask it appropriately, because in some of the board meetings that I've sat through as we've gone over their budgets, they have talked about, especially IT. There was a huge discussion about the disconnect between the reality of what they had been tasked to do in preparing their budgets. And they had a goal of what would it look like if you reduced it by 3% or 5% or something like that. I'm sure Chris or Barry will straighten me out. But as the...
You're correct.
What?
You're correct.
Okay, good. I got that right. Thank you. How do you reconcile the new standards that you just spoke about with the competing interest of all of the new and advancing technologies, especially AI? I don't know if I said that correctly or if anyone else gets what I'm trying to say, but
Commissioner Long, and that really is an internal management decision. Our accounting is not based on how we account for it. We have to go by the standard. It really, and the type of contract. So it's really, that's a Barry and Chris question as far as the appropriate resources for our BTS and our BTS board recommendation to y'all.
okay,
Which
well,
I appreciate your active involvement there too in asking all the tough questions at BTS meetings.
well, it's troubling to me, and especially as it related to the comments made by our supervisor. So, Chris and Barry, now you have a head warning. I've got to be really all over that, like a bee in a honey hive. Thank you.
Any additional questions or comments? Commissioner Eggers.
Well, I just want to take the opportunity, Ken, to thank you and your department for all of the incredible work that you do. We are truly blessed to have that. And I think some of the things that you talked about today shouldn't be, you didn't understate them, but they really are important for our residents to understand. In this world of cynicism and wondering what's going on behind the curtains, we've opened the curtains wide open. People can see everything that goes on in this county, from the smallest bill to policy decisions to whatever else. And it's really a big deal. And I hope the residents, if they pick up nothing else from this report, that they understand that this is your money, residents. And all we're doing is collecting it, spending some of it, and telling you how we did it and how we're equipped on the reserve level, the debt levels, comparative statements. Appreciate the seamless effort that you went through this year to help in that transition. That's a big, big deal. But I just really wanted to say thank you again for all that you do. And I'm very proud of your department and the work that you bring.
Thank you, Commissioner Eggers. And Commissioner Eggers, we appreciate your service on the VAB board. And I'll always say it, government workers get a bad rap. Government workers are tremendously dedicated to our mission. They work hard, at least the ones I know in Pinellas County. They're tremendously knowledgeable. They have the Stark knowledge, which is so important in this business, and they try to serve the taxpayers of Pinellas County the best way they can. So thank you for those nice comments. And on that note, I should say we have two other clerk employees here, Darrell Lynn, our board records manager, and Francesca, our board reporter, taking minutes here. So I appreciate their good work too. Thank you for allowing us to be with us. Unless there's any other questions.
You do have great staff, there's no question. Any other questions or comments? No, outstanding job as always, thank you. Clerk Burke, we appreciate it.
Thank you.
Commissioner Flowers, don't go away yet.
Just real quick, I want to say thank you so much. I spoke with Mr. Twitty and with Mr. Burke. Thank you so much for the link that is available for individuals to register their homes so that they receive a hit if someone is coming into the clerk's office trying to do a quick claim deed or trying to take your property quickly. We've had so many seniors fall prey to this. Other individuals who are quite learned people fall prey to this. I sent that link out, and I cannot tell you the number of people who have said thank you for that, and one person actually responded because it was caught.
Wow.
It was caught before it got too far. And she won't mind me saying her name. It was Rita Wesley with the City of St. Petersburg, the mayor's executive administrative assistant. So I just want to say thank you all so much for that. Always being innovative in what you guys are doing.
And we have around 45,000 people who registered for that. We would like more. And you mentioned Mr. Twitty, and he was kind enough to allow us to put an insert in the trim notices a few years ago. We probably need to repeat doing that because we got a bump of 4,000 or 5,000 as a result of the notice being put in there. Thank you again for.
Wait, we're not done yet, I'm sorry.
Thank you for letting me share that.
Commissioner Long has another question.
Well, it's not really a question, it's more of a comment, but I just would be remiss if I didn't bring these two things up. First of all, how many employees work for the clerk's office?
With
Countywide.
our whole operation, around 520.
520. So for those of you that have never had the pleasure of taking the tour that Mr. Clerk offers for his offices to explain what they're there for and what they're doing, I want to thank you personally for your leadership and your genuine concern for all of your staff, because there was nowhere that we went that Clerk Burke did not know everyone by their first names, and I was incredibly impressed by that.
Well,
So thank you. Oh, yes, and stories about their individual family members. So I
You're
appreciate.
good people, so
Thank you.
thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Okay, we're going to move on to public comment. And first up, we have Lynn Tucker. And Ms. Tucker, if you'd come up and state your name and your address, and you'll have 3 minutes. Just a reminder.
Good morning. My name's Lynn Tucker. I'm the Strategic Initiatives Director with Our Club Childcare. The address is 4140 49th Street North, St. Petersburg, Florida 33709. Across Pinellas County, Our Club Childcare offers high-quality childcare for more than 5,000 children ages 2 months to 22 years. And we do this through 48 licensed programs and 4 supplemental services and programs. This Friday is Provider Appreciation Day, and I'm here to thank the Commission for their recognition of all the hard work that childcare providers do every day. They ready our kids for kindergarten. They provide a safe place for kids while parents work, which is a great asset to businesses. So I'm here to thank the Commission for their proclamation that they provided in celebration of Provider Appreciation Day. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, we have Tricia Kirby.
Thank you, Tricia Kirby, 1111 Spencer Avenue, Clearwater, Florida. You don't need to put the tree on camera if you don't want to, but I'll set it up here with me. I got this little live oak at the Arbor Tree giveaway in Clearwater a week ago, and I absolutely love it. It's going to go in my front yard where a water oak fell down. Water oak was at the end of its 50-year lifespan. This will go up to 400 to 1,000 years. And the neat thing, though, about this tree is that it is going to accrue tons of benefits, but those benefits aren't going to come for 30 to 40 years. So we have a long, long time to wait for this tree to really do what it's going to do wonderfully for our city. And yes, I will plant it. I wanted to bring it in for this one last display. Meanwhile, we're cutting down fully grown oak trees and losing the accrual of those benefits. So that's the main thing I wanted to talk about today. Okay, someone said bring in photos. So I'm like, okay, I'll bring photos.
If they could pull up the photos on the, great,
Yes.
thank you.
Thank you. Oh, sorry.
A picture of your kitties.
Sorry. Oh, wait, that's the camera. Hang on a second. Okay. One thing I want to say, to buy us a little bit of time, the Migratory Bird Treaty Act says that all native birds and their nests are protected by federal law, so maybe we can buy a little bit of time during nesting season at least to figure out a better answer to this problem. This is a photo of a neighborhood, interestingly, on Sun Tree Street. And before cutting, after cutting, a lot more sun now. 3 beautiful trees before cutting. I'll put this so you have there. Before cutting, after cutting, it's like a wasteland. I mean, it's like the Amazon to Mars. Before cutting, after cutting. Before Duke, I decided to stop calling it cutting and just call it Duke because that's what it is. Before Duke, after Duke, tree cut down. That's actually an employee, an engineer for the city of Clearwater. I want to talk about, for just for a second, why this is passionate for me. This is my neighborhood. The city of Clearwater accidentally cut down these trees in the easements. This is my neighbor before and after her front yard, before and after the view. That was her house, last one. Everything cut down. And to bring it completely home, because I have to drive by that every single day when I leave home and come back. These are trees, Jennifer Harding and Brian Harding in their backyard. It's a little hard to see. They're at risk. Those are the ones on the cutting block. Those are the ones, it's in their entire backyard that's going to be stripped of trees. So is it about safety or is it about greed?
Thank you. And just for your information, we have reached out to Duke, and they are communicating with us about maybe a policy change. So your efforts hopefully will earn some reward. Next, we have David Ballard Geddes Jr., and after David, we have Greg Pound.
Hi, good morning, Commissioners. David Ballard Geddes Jr. I live on Georgia Avenue in Palm Harbor. We hold these truths, that's plural for more than one truth, to include false truth in such declared mentality, declaring that when, in the course of human events, it has become self-evident that the Declaration of Independence serves to invoke Hamilton's second Constitution as of fact on its face. The preamble of our current Constitution brings awareness to these two constitutions. It contrasts the United States with the United States of America, one constitution being posterity of the other, seen as capture of both land and water in Article 1, Section 8, Clause 11. As contrived, the 14th Amendment is being used as a ring bolt operation connecting these two constitutions, giving rise to water jurisdictions approximately 10 miles square as the new seat of government in Article 1, Section 8, Clause 17, shape-shifting the government from its fortnighted city, county, and state governments. They are soon to be dissolved using a quid pro quo fee simple title agreement with the Water District. The county, in conjunct with the Water District powers, are intending to further give rise to birthing or naturalizing despotic water jurisdictions as a power of the earth as declared, usurping government in such constituted assumption. Should this ringbolt operation be held as unwarranted and found to be illegal and void, Hamilton has built in a contingent third constitution in the Federalist Papers as a last resort. The Federalist Papers reveal these three constitutional mediums as the former, the latter, and the last resort, all of which is soon to be debunked and based on the pseudo-philosophical science of guys like Jacob Boehme, John Locke, Hobbes, Descartes, Hume, Berkeley, Spinoza, and so forth. The founding fathers of this nation suffer from mental disorders using the mediums of using constitutional mediums and the pseudoscience of medieval European philosophy as their legal framework, bringing this nation forth based on the absence of actual reality and their truth of their constituted bulwark. Thank you.
Thank you, David. It's Greg Pound is up next, and then Pastor Mack.
Greg Pound, Largo. I always turn my phone off. I turned my ringer off. I turned it off before I came in here. Someone must have turned it on and called me. So the issue is John chapter 7. I'd like to put this up for 1 minute, too. John chapter 7, verse 7, it says, "The world cannot hate you, but me it hateth, because I testify of it, that its works thereof are evil." Christ said in John chapter 15, verse 18, "If the world hates you, you know the world hated me before it hated you." So when you testify against someone that their deeds are evil, they're going to hate you. They, for some reason, people don't like the truth, and especially when they haven't been born again. And what I want to see, this is Pastor Willie Hawson, did 3 terms in prison. He's out, he just finished parole here this past week. He started this church, Eternal Rocks Ministry, at 1301 Seminole Boulevard. Him and his wife, they've been married since high school, 61 years old. The guy's born again and saved, and that's why when you take Christ out of the churches, out of the schools, and out of our government, you're creating problems for ourselves. But when people get saved and brought up and taught the Word of God, when they get born again, saved, then they're looking out for our interests. We have a country now filled with criminals running our country, and it's just out of control. We got the Gay Pride coming up next month. I mean, in this, we're going to go through this again, destroying our families, our children, being supported by the Hard Rock Casino over there in Tampa is paying for this, putting this on. I mean, if you're not stealing the people's money, everyone trying to get rich, I mean, we had an old school saying, the harder you work, the harder you think. If we don't get back to them, those ethics and principles and character, we're just in trouble as a nation. Our leaders, I mean, they said if they have to destroy the country in order to keep people like Donald Trump getting in office, or anyone that's going to represent America and our independence and our Constitution, they'll do it. And so if you just look at the stuff they're putting out on the internet, so the only thing I can say is I've been appealing to you folks, our leaders, and it's just a real sad situation. You're supposed to be civil servants serving our country and serving us people. And it's nothing but fraud, corruption, extortion, lying. The whole system is gone. It's just gone out of control. And if you can't see it, just look around. When I go out and see how fat everybody is, whether I go to Publix or Walmart or wherever I go and see how fat the people have become, it shows that the people are out of control. Our society is out of control. We have a sexual perverted, gluttony, greed. All these things are destroying us. I mean, you can laugh, but it's right in our face. Go look at the medical costs, the cost for just taking care of the people in America. And so if we don't repent as a nation and get back to our Bibles and start reading it, we need to read it, not look at it, read it and study it. That's why we have it. All right, thank you.
Thank you. Pastor Mack, and then next we have someone online. Tina Brown will be up after Pastor Mack.
I'd like to say good morning to the entire group here this morning, and give a special thanks to our commissioners for the great work and love and joy you show to our county. And I appreciate the opportunity to be able to come and kind of share a little bit of love from what real life is all about. You know, I have a verse of scripture here from the Psalm, and the verse says, "My soul thirsts for God, for the living God." Wow, that's powerful. I mean, we got a guy that recognized that he has a soul, and that soul is thirsty. You know, when I was reading this in Psalms, it kind of reminded me of back in the day when I went off to war. And man, I didn't know nothing about life, really. But here I am going to war, and I was enjoying life back in my young days too, by the way. And but I was thinking as I was going to war, you know, what if I get killed in this war? I mean, is there such place as hell? And really, that was my only real concern, is that if I got killed, I didn't want to go to hell. Now, I didn't care nothing about heaven, but I didn't want to go to hell. And my heart was saying, God, if you're out here somewhere, you know, where are you? How do you get to know that? And so I went all the way through the war, and I made it out. And when I made it out, you know, I didn't find people that was concerned about their souls, it seemed like. I mean, they was into everything else. They was in the war and they was doing their job, but they wasn't into worrying about their soul. We didn't have no chaplains back in my day when I was in Vietnam. We had no people coming together talking about the Bible. It's true, it's real. And people like let us know about the psalmist. This man had a soul, and he recognized that could nothing satisfy that soul except the living God. Not religion, the invisible God. For he said the living God, he emphasized the living God, because God is alive. And he made each one of us to where we have that soul, we have that recognition of God, and we have the privilege to receive God, or just going our own way. And too many of us are going our own way. And I want to tell you, there's nothing going to give you satisfaction like God give you satisfaction. There was a guy by the name of St. Augustine back in the day. St. Augustine said, God, you have made us for yourself, and our hearts are restless until they find their rest in you. That was a powerful saying that St. Augustine said. It's real, it's true, and we do have a soul. Let's get that rest.
Thank you, Pastor Mag.
Thank you very much. God bless you.
And then we're going to go on to Tina Brown, if she's online.
Yes, Madam Chair, thank you. Ms. Brown, can you please raise your virtual hand so we can unmute you and state your name and address, and you have 3 minutes.
Okay, no problem. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I thought I had my video on, but I guess not. I live in Palm Harbor on Oakview Lane, and we've been having issues with depressions and sinkholes behind our houses, all up and down White Bridge Drive and Oakview Drive, and it's been going on since 2019, where they were supposed to repair these, and it just continues going with excuses, and they can't find people, or they sent out a letter and people aren't responding. But all of our properties up and down the street have depressions and sinkholes in them, to the point that some of us are scared of becoming uninsurable, which includes myself. I don't know if anything can be done about this. I was told to come to a county commissioner's office and maybe it can be looked into. I did send I don't know if it's called a work order or what, when I requested to be heard today. I don't know what else to do about it. I've been in touch with, I think his name is Ty, not sure, in the office, the Public Works office, but I don't know if this can be escalated or what can be done with it. But they are pretty significant, as they're calling them depressions, but let's just keep it real and say that they are sinkholes. So I'm here today asking for your help, your suggestions on how we can get this done. They're coming from a small pond that goes into a ravine that runs behind the houses. That's all.
Okay, before you go, there is a comment from our county administrator, if you want to hang on just 1 second.
Yeah, no, I'm not going anywhere. Thank you.
I'm sorry. Public Works is well aware of the issue. There's a number of issues going on with this area. So for instance, the letter that was sent out to all the property owners said that there are several things. One, we have to remove illicit discharges. So we have many properties that are dumping directly into the creek. We have to control roof runoff. They've got illegal connections. That's causing bank instability and causing erosion. But there's also blockages of fences and sheds and things like that in the existing drainage easements. And so, and we also have limitations on what we need to where we can make temporary bank repairs. So we're going to need work with the homeowners to get easements to where we can actually do work. So there's a number of issues going on. Some of it's on the property owners, but it will require us to be able to grant temporary construction easements for us to be able to make repairs. So they're well aware of it. They're working on it, but there's a number of issues going on. I can send you the letter that was sent out to the homeowners that is, this was recently, they were asked to respond by the end of February of this year, so it's fairly recent. It's been going on for some time, but this was most recent correspondence. Kelly is here
Right.
if you have specific questions.
Right, but it's been going on since 2019 that we started getting communication about this. I mean, that's 5 years at this point. So,
Thank you, and we appreciate you calling in. And just know that we are working on it, and they'll continue to communicate with you. Thank you. So that's all we have on public hearing, and we can move on to, or to citizens be heard, so we can move on to public hearings, and we'll have number 8.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Agenda item number 8 is a legislative petition submitted by James Casper to vacate the north 90 feet of a 30-foot right-of-way of Coconut Avenue lying east of Lot 1, Harbor View A, Plat Book 9, page 54, lying in Section 293015, Pinellas County, Florida. The public hearing was properly advertised, and an affidavit of publication has been received for filing. No correspondence has been received by the clerk, and the matter is properly before the board to be heard.
Okay, the wishes of the commission. Commissioner Flowers.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I guess this would be the staff. We received a letter from a neighbor who was concerned about the height of the homes that are being built there that are not, I guess, similar to those that are currently there, as well as a pool that was built in a prior home. So I guess my question would be for the vacation of this property, and I guess her letter was solely because when the gentleman first purchased the property, there was a different conversation versus what's happening now. The conversation alluding to he was going to be living on the property, but the property now has become will be 2 homes that he has sold. So I guess my question would be the request for vacation, is this going to allow for a 2-story, much larger built home on this property versus,
I would ask staff to come up. I don't
And,
see Michael, but here comes Kevin, so.
I'm
And
sorry.
I think we should do a presentation on this issue as well. So,
Okay, thank you, just a question.
We had Michael, but I don't see him here, so I guess it got elevated up.
This is what they call pinch hitting.
Okay.
Good morning, Commissioners. Kevin McAndrew, Director, BDRS. This is a relatively straightforward petition to vacate. The substance of this petition does not relate to what would be a subsequent building permit application for a new home and accessory structures. To clarify, the petition to vacate itself, let me just go to the relevant slide. Coconut Avenue actually has what I would consider to be a dead-end segment. It's highlighted in blue on the screen. This particular segment has been vetted with Public Works and all other potential utility purveyors. There's no issue with this. This is a vacant lot. This would be an appendage to lot number 1 as you see it on the slide. And it would enable a larger side yard area. To answer the question about a home, the fact that the lot size becomes larger would enable ultimately a larger footprint home to be built on the property.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and I know what it is that you are saying, but I guess my concern is that Lot 1 is proposed to be developed with a home, and the issue and concern is something that we've taken up from other cases where a structure is so large that it impedes on the property owner adjacent on either side. So you've answered my question, but thank you very much.
Thank you.
And I do apologize for not asking in advance. I wasn't at the workshop, so I do apologize for not asking in advance.
So Kevin, would you be okay with going through the presentation?
Sure. So you're looking again at the actual area that would be vacated, highlighted again on the slide in purple. It's actually a 90-foot depth area by 30-foot wide, which is that right-of-way that would be vacated. As I had mentioned previously, county departments have no objection to this vacation. Staff recommends the approval of this, and as we do with all vacations, we reach out and make sure we have letters of no objection from all providers, whether it's telecommunications, gas, power, and associated services.
Commissioner Scott.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So when we do these vacations, do we get any money in exchange for this land, or is it just a gift?
It's just the cost of processing the application. There's no revenue associated with the actual transfer of title.
Is that normal?
It will be considered a non-contiguous lot, not usable for anything else. I'm sorry for answering for staff. Please forgive me.
Okay, Commissioner Eggers.
But I think we should say.
I'm assuming this is an unimproved right-of-way? We've no invested dollars in that?
Correct. This is, as I said, this is really sort of a dead-end segment. You know, when these subdivisions are platted, you know, often these streets have these extensions for potential use, whether it be for utility infrastructure, but in this case, that's not, it is shown not to be the case as far as having any utilization.
From your experience, is this a larger than normal right-of-way that we're giving? It seems like a large area. You're talking about 2,700 square feet. It's a big piece of, I mean, I'm just saying, it's a lot of value to that homeowner or the person who's going to build a home there. So, again, we've done this before. It's not unusual. I just wanted to make sure that we don't have invested tax dollars in that area that we need to recoup in any way.
No, that was coordinated with Public Works and utilities. They're all different, Commissioner. You know, each set of circumstances as far as size and need vary.
If it was going the other way, somehow it seems to me that we'd be paying for it. If we needed it, not trying to talk about things to come, but we'll be paying for it, even if it's a sliver. I understand the question that Commissioner Scott's asking. It's just an issue that kind of comes up every once in a while when we have these large pieces.
Yeah, I mean, I would just leave it at, you know, when these applications come in, the premise is that these areas were platted for a reason, and we go through a meticulous analysis to make sure that before there's a staff recommendation to vacate, that there's no contemplated utilization in the future.
Thank you, Kevin.
Commissioner Scott has another question.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And thank you, Commissioner Eggers, for sort of summing up my thoughts there. It just seemed like a very large piece of land that's going to go to this property owner now that's going to add pretty significant value, I would think, to. It just seems like we should be getting something for it, but I also got a letter from a resident late yesterday afternoon. The concern that they had was that this neighborhood is more, I don't know if really if an estate neighborhood is really the way to put it, but you know, there are larger pieces of land with, you know, large side area lots and things like that, in that this particular developer has put a home, built another home in this area that sort of, you know, kind of encroached upon that, got very close to their property boundaries, and was suggesting that, you know, a larger easement setbacks rather, be provided to prevent that. But that would be outside the scope of what we're talking about today. That would be coming on a building permit type thing, right?
Correct.
Okay. So just trying to clarify that.
Any other questions or comments? Jewel?
And just one clarification because of the questions that came up. In looking at this, it looks like this is platted right-of-way, which most likely means we don't have a fee interest in it. Keep in mind, many of the roads here, we have easements over or obtained by dedication by a plat, and it's not necessarily, and I'm not going to try to speak to the facts here, somebody else can, but many times the county does not own the fee. So you're vacating an easement or some other kind of encumbrance that allows the development of the property. And also keep in mind that as the property is developed, it'll come onto the tax rolls, and the county would earn income that way.
Okay, any other questions or comments? We have 4 people that want to speak on this item. So I would ask each of you, when I call your name, to come up, state your name and your address, and you'll have 3 minutes. We're going to start with Sarah Wood, and then Kimberly Gosling will be after Sarah.
Good morning. Many of you referred to my email that I sent out yesterday. I live on the property. Basically, my property is adjacent to, I live on an 1.5 acres. This property was at one time an 1.5 acres. It's now 3 different lots. The first home that was purchased by James Casper with what he claimed to be the intent to live there. And then he ended up selling that house, selling the lot behind it, and now is trying to gain more access to this other lot to make it larger and more appealing. We moved to Pinellas Groves 18 years ago because we fell in love with the large lots, which most of the homes back in the neighborhood enjoy. We're zoned agricultural, which is an added benefit. In 2019 was when he bought this home and now has built additional homes. The home that he built, 3,200 square feet, is on the exact same size lot that he currently has. So a 3,200 square foot lot, or 3,200 square foot house now sits on our fence line. And somebody said the word encroaching, it does feel very much like that. It's like we have a house right in our backyard all of a sudden. I think 3,200 square feet is a pretty large house. Doesn't seem any reason to gain more land for a larger house. The problem that we have is the neighborhood, Savoy Court, and our neighborhood, we use that right away. You're gonna see many neighbors here today, we know each other because of that right away. They come over, they trick or treat in our neighborhood because of that right away. We've used that right away to get to the backside of our 1.5 acres. And, we have kids that don't have to go along 74th, along the main street, that are able to go back and forth from that neighborhood. So the people that live there, that have an investment in this neighborhood, well, we want that land. We want that right away. We want to be able to use that. Why should he be able to use that land to gain and have a monetary gain from it when we're currently using it? So I ask that you deny this and leave it as it is and allow us to use that pass-through. Thank you.
Thank you. And Kimberly Gosselin? After Kimberly, we have, Kim and Tony Casamano.
As Sarah said, there are many of us. I'm sorry, I'm Kimberly.
The microphone is over. There you go.
Hi. I'm Kimberly Goslin. I live at 7224 Savoy Court. And as Sarah said, I live basically right abutting the property. So kind of perpendicular to Sarah, if you will. I have a 7-year-old and a 5-year-old little boy. And instead of going on their bikes and going onto 74th Avenue, which is very busy, we use that easement to access the back neighborhoods, which are very quiet and free of cars, so that they can learn to ride their bikes and access friends as well. So we do ask that you perhaps reconsider the request to vacate the easement. I know a lot of the unit owners or homeowners would really love a chance to possibly purchase the easement from the county if we were allowed. I believe in 2019, when I built my home, we also put a gate there to access that back neighborhood, allowing for more safe travels. But hoping that there would be a smaller, if anything, developed home that wouldn't encroach directly on our fence line. I think giving more to that 30-foot easement, setback that is required by the city. So I ask that you deny the request.
Thank you. So we have Kim and Tony. It looks, okay.
Hi there, I'm Kim Casamano. I live off 128th Street, 3 houses around the corner from this property. We've been in this neighborhood for over 30 years. We've watched it from dirt roads expanding, a lot of things changes, but we all take care of each other in this neighborhood. We watch out for each other. And the man who purchased this house at the beginning told us he was going to live there and had the kids and everything, and we welcomed that, thought that was great for the neighborhood. But again, he, being a builder, sold that immediately, built immediately on a smaller piece, a bigger house there, and that's his intention to do with this third piece. Now, granted, he owns it, he can do that, but there are other people that I have seen use that easement, do the gates with the kids. We walk through there all the time, and this is important to the well-being of our neighborhood. He has no skin in the game other than to make money. He doesn't live there. He doesn't intend to live there. He has lots of other properties that he's been dealing with, and we like to keep the integrity of our neighborhood such that it is. So I, again, would like to have you reconsider and not be okay with this. Thank you.
I was here just to support my wife, and one thing I saw in their presentation was that they were talking about how utilities and stuff weren't going to be implemented through this area. And of course not, because all the other utilities and stuff has already been set up in the neighborhood beforehand. So that's not an argument to get you guys to vacate that, to have someone add that amount of square footage to their lot so they can build a big giant house there. That's all I got to say.
Thank you. And next up, we have Aaron Philippone. And Aaron's not here anymore? Okay. So that's all we have in public comment. Do we have any more questions for staff? Okay. I do have a question for staff. Sorry, Kevin. And my question while you're coming up is, who maintains that currently? Who does the cutting and any kind of maintenance on there?
Issue. Is it unimproved? Okay, so it's in essence a paper road, so nothing.
So nobody cuts the grass, or nobody gets rid of weeds, or nobody, is it paved, is it grass, what is it?
Well,
The aerials show it as grass.
do you mow it? Okay, they said they do mow it.
So we currently maintain it, and the neighbors are utilizing it because we maintain it. Is that accurate?
Well, that's what was represented. You know, this, unfortunately, I'm hearing this also for the first time as far as the neighbors expressing that they're using this as an access to come through the area. But as far as maintenance, just as clarified by the Director of Public Works, we're mowing that area.
Okay, Kelly, how often do we mow it?
I mean, Commissioners, these are paper streets. Like, like Jill said, this is not something that we purchased we don't have a property interest in it. And so the only conveyance can be to a neighbor, if somebody wants that. And you can also look at the map about where it goes. They may be using that as a connection, but it's not like a platted connection. It's not connecting over to another street, which is one of the reasons that I'm sure we had no objection to the vacation.
Kelly Hammer-Levy, Public Works Director. We have a lot of these areas, these right-of-way areas that we have on a general mowing cycle. It may be between 6 and 14 times a year, dependent on the need. But we have a lot of these little areas that we maintain somewhat. We don't do improvements. There's no asphalt or crushed shell walkway. It's just open space.
Okay, Commissioner Scott has a question. You may not want to leave yet.
This may be more of a Jill question, but thank you, Madam Chair. So we don't have any fee interest in the land, but do we have liability if somebody was to, since we're maintaining it somewhat, if somebody was to fall and hurt themselves, do we have liability on that?
Most likely.
Most likely? Okay.
It is designated as right-of-way, and we are maintaining it, from what I hear.
Commissioner Eggers.
So we've got some of these, like a few of these around.
We got
Is it
lots.
something that we can look at perhaps about figuring out different, like offering it up to see if there's other folks that might have interest in the property? In other words, there's a piece of property here that somebody wants a larger lot to build on, and then there's a neighbor on the other side who would like to keep it green space, to keep it open. Why would one have like priority over another one? And why couldn't we just open that up for those kinds of interests to come forward? I don't mean this one just in particular. We're talking about this one, but there are other ones that we have to end up taking care of, that we have liability for. We don't need, we don't want. Maybe there's a way that we can start addressing some of these pieces to communities.
We could certainly look into it with staff, because staff has the facts. We have,
Right.
the legal application to those. And again, there's a number of ways that we can acquire right-of-way. And keep in mind, the right-of-ways here have been acquired over many, many decades, some 100 years old or more. We can have it by fee, we can have it by easement, it could be dedicated by plat. There's a number of different ways. Case law out there says that when you vacate a right-of-way, it goes to the center line of the road to the abutting owners on either side. So that's what case law out there says. We could certainly look into other options, but, again, without knowing the facts of each particular circumstance, it's kind of hard to say how we might be able to dispose of it. And it may very well just come down to, seeing if the abutting neighbors wish to take it. I don't know if we could compel them to take it. That's something we would have to look into.
Madam Chair. I'm sorry to interrupt, but I would like to offer a suggestion that perhaps because we have some conflicting information here coming to us at the 11th hour, we would be wise if we took a pause and sent this back to a workshop for further consideration, because I've heard two different stories. One is we have a few of these type of lots, and number two, we have several. So do we have any idea? I mean, if we don't figure out a way to address these things, we're going to be dealing with every single one of them individually, right?
You've addressed these over the years. I mean, and many times staff objects when, for instance, maybe in the future we want to put a path through there. It's a road and it connects up to another road. You've got lots of areas like that. And so and many times we'll have utilities in there, or we may want that for future drainage improvements. So each individual case is a little bit different. How it's titled is a little bit different. And we have them throughout the county, throughout the unincorporated areas. So they can, I don't know the specific piece, and I see staff over there talking, and they can speak on this, but each one's going to be a little bit different. We do try to dispose of property that we don't need. This is a little bit different because these are some of these right-of-way issues, and it really takes the neighbors to make the petition to start that process to vacate.
Commissioner Scott?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I mean, I like the idea of getting rid of pieces that we don't need, just to shed the liability aspect of it, so I like that. Is there a way for these neighbors to address their concerns through the building permit process?
Commissioner, can you clarify the building permit process or the
Well,
petition to vacate process?
The concerns that were, if we vote to vacate this today, the concerns that were raised, at least to me anyways, was that the setbacks would not be great enough and it would allow sort of intrusion of a larger home into adjacent neighboring properties. So I'm just wondering if there was an opportunity for these neighbors to express those concerns through when a building permit was applied for on that.
No, there would not be a mechanism in the building permit process for that.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other comments or questions? Okay. The wish of the commission. Or more discussion. Commissioner Eggers, you look like you've got something you want to add.
Well, I mean, again, I think some of the comments today just raise some issues that maybe we need to take a look at. Even the one about, if you do give up a piece of property like that, you go to the center line of the property and give, one side to the one property owner and give the option to the other side to the other property owner. And then if they don't want it, they don't want to assume it. I think one of the ladies was here that spoke to her property being there, then she wouldn't have to pay for it either. But then that would be the way to do it. And if it's not taken, it stays as a 15-foot right-of-way that the neighborhood can use as well. So, I mean, I just think that, these are these little particular pieces within neighborhoods that can really help define, or it's been defined by the neighborhood as it being used, that we can work with them. And I think in this case, if we're going to give up that right-of-way, maybe we give up to half of it, and the other half being left alone or offered to the property owner on the other side. So I guess the question is, do we want to give up the whole amount? And I would say I don't want to give up the whole thing.
Jewel.
I was just conferring with some colleagues in my office to find out if we could vacate less than the entire of what's proposed here. It sounds like we could. I would not necessarily encourage you to do that on the fly here right now, but it's certainly something staff could look into, perhaps vacating less than the entire amount requested, keeping open the walking path that the neighbors seem interested in. There may be some options out there that we could look into to somewhat accomplish everybody's purpose. But again, I wouldn't recommend that we try to do that here today. I would suggest, if that's what your wishes are, to send it back to staff and let us try to work on that.
Commissioner Flowers.
Madam Chair, I was just going to say if Commissioner Long was going to make her suggestion in the form of a motion, or can you as chair just, on a consensus, direct it back to staff? I think I would have to agree that would be the best way to go. I will say that, and please, neighbors that are here, don't take this wrong. I understand that they enjoy the accessibility and the use of this property, but that's not what should be considered when someone is asking to vacate it. I appreciate that you use it, for enjoyment purposes. And I think it's nice that the community has come together and you use this for a number of things that really bring you all together, bring your kids together and uplift you. But that's not something that we can consider when we are determining whether or not to approve a vacation. I'm just sharing that. The reason I'm supporting this is because of a couple of things. The first is you've interacted with Mr. Casper. You were led to believe one thing and something else has occurred, so that's bad faith for me. Number two, I don't believe that it would hurt him and that he would lose anything should he build on the plat that he currently has, that currently exists. It would stay in tune with the neighborhood and how the neighborhood looks. Once a person purchases a piece of property, if 3 homes can fit on that property, they could build 3 homes, as long as they're doing it, within the guidelines. But he's asking for additional, which is what I have the problem with. So I just wanted to share that I'm not supporting it because of the feeling of it, because I do understand that, but I'm just looking at what this does for the community as a whole. So I don't know how you want to handle that, Madam Chair, but I think that that's a
agree with
wonderful
Commissioner
idea.
Flowers.
So we don't have a motion, and I'm getting some consensus. I don't have a majority of consensus. I don't have consensus yet. So I guess I would ask the opinion of our other colleagues that have not spoken. It is a dead end. There is liability that goes along with this. If it's possible to split it and give it to the other owners, then they would have to take over the maintenance and the liability, so that if somebody's going to be going down that little alleyway, that we may give to them if they choose to want it, which they have offered to pay for it, which isn't what the option is here. It would be to maybe split it with 2 property owners. But again, then, once the other person owns it, then they've got the maintenance and the liability, and are they going to want their neighbors going through there?
Right.
And if someone falls, that's a liability of their own. So we're making assumptions that that's something they want. They have alluded that they're interested in it. So any thoughts?
Madam Chair,
Commissioner Long?
I am not comfortable voting on something that we have so many outstanding thoughts and recommendations on, and I'm curious, because I know other areas of the county where this has happened. This particular area that we're talking about, do we know if they have a homeowners association? Yes or no? We don't know.
I don't know. Does it?
No? Okay, well, what's the possibility that the owners who? Yes and no. Yes, one neighborhood does, one does not. Okay, one neighborhood does, one neighborhood does not. So what is the possibility that the association could potentially purchase this right-of-way area?
You couldn't.
What?
You couldn't. It's got to be with the adjacent property
It's got to be
owners.
adjacent property, yeah.
Commissioners, if I could offer.
But she said it was.
They're not supposed to be speaking from, they're not supposed to be speaking from.
So, and thank you. At this point, our public comment is done. I appreciate you answering the questions, but Barry's going to,
Commissioners, I believe it does have to be adjacent property owner. So whether it's homeowner association or whether it's an individual property owner, you have the option of splitting it and, to the center line, as Commissioner Eggers, suggested, or you provide for the vacation as presented here today. What we could do at staff is to go back and confirm that. Do you want to split that? Is there interest in that? Or do you want to proceed with the vacation as is? And we could bring it back to you based upon the conclusion of that discussion.
so I need some conversation from Commissioner Latvala, Commissioner Justice, and Commissioner Scott.
And if I could
Commissioner
add-
Latvala.
If I could add just one thing in here, and I was not involved in the review of this, I'm not sure of the facts here. Looking at your exhibit that's included here, it appears that the right-of-way is proposed to go to only one owner, so I don't know if what we're looking at is a right-of-way that is adjacent to a separate subdivision, so that the abutting owner may not be entitled to the other property. So I think if you all want us to look at this, there's a lot of questions that would need to be answered to take a look at this. And let me just say one thing also. The homeowners association, I do not believe would be a relevant party to be part of this conversation, because I don't see whereas they would have an interest. And I would also mention, it looks to me, and again, these are just guesses I'm making looking at the map here, there's a drainage easement contiguous to the part that you're looking at to vacate here. That could be where the neighbors are walking. I don't know. So you have a lot of questions here that I think staff would take a look at. And I apologize for interrupting you, Commissioner Latvala. And I would also recommend, if you all do believe that you want to send it back to staff, that you take a vote to direct staff to do that and continue it to a date certain, so we would not have to pay to re-advertise this, or ask the applicant to pay to re-advertise it. But also, I think you would need to take a vote, since this is a public hearing, to direct staff to take a look at it, and I'll leave my comments there.
Commissioner Latvala.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I support sending this back to staff.
Okay.
There you go.
So I'm going to take that as a motion, and you're going to include that motion to have an end date?
Yes, ma'am, and to have a rehearing in July. Would that work?
60 days.
Somebody said June 11th back.
June 11th, at our
Well,
June 11th meeting.
I'm not sure if that's going to be enough time for staff, so I would want to give them I would want to give them a couple months to ensure they have the time to do the investigation. So I would give them July, maybe the end of July or early August.
Yeah, for our July meeting then.
Okay.
I'll second that motion.
So there's a meeting on July 16th.
On July 16th, so we have a date. So the
I'll
motion
second that
is
motion.
to send back to staff to come back on July 16th, to bring back recommendations from there. We have a second from Commissioner Flowers. From there, do we have any more discussion? Yes, Commissioner Justice.
Thank you. The vacation part of the property is just on the backside of the one property owner on Savoy. So I don't know if there's open land that goes north of that where other neighbors are accessing it, or they're coming through people's side yards, or one of these. But I'm glad we're sending it back so that we can examine all these questions. This is an area that has had a lot of development over the years, and the neighbors have worked really well together to try and keep that character of the old A&E designation there. So I'm glad that we're going to take this a second look.
Okay. All right, we got a motion and a second. If the clerk could bring up the voting card, commissioners can vote. I am not joined. I'm a yes, I'm sorry. That passes 7-0, unanimous. We're going to move on to number 9.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Agenda item number 9 is a proposed resolution imposing and collecting a non-ad valorem special assessment levied solely on property owned or leased by non-public hospitals to fund the hospital-directed payment program. Approval and execution of an agreement to initiate intergovernmental transfers as match for improved Medicaid reimbursement levels for hospitals is also requested. The public hearing was properly advertised, and an affidavit of publication has been received for filing. No correspondence has been received by the clerk, and the matter is properly before the board to be heard.
Okay. Commissioners, are you looking for any kind of presentation, discussion? I do have 2 public comments. Okay, we will go on to Colleen Ernst, and then after that is Catherine Gillette. And again, if you'd state your name and your address, and you'll have 3 minutes. Thank you.
Hi, Colleen Ernst with Adelanto Healthcare Ventures. It's a consulting company that works with the systems here in Pinellas. I merely wanted to be here if there were any questions and to express thanks, especially to the members of the staff who worked so hard to make this possible so the hospitals are able to continue their mission of indigent care. So thank you to Tim and Karen and Lourdes and Cody and everyone who was involved on county staff for their work.
Commissioners, while she's coming up, I did want to acknowledge the work of Tim. You know, Tim Burns, he's our director of programs, and they had a really tight deadline and coordinating 16 hospitals to all be on the same page. So a lot of staff work went into making that happen, and we appreciate his good work.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Catherine Gillette. I reside at 1121 45th Avenue Northeast, and today I'm representing Johns Hopkins All Children's Hospital. What I wanted to say is exactly what's been said by these last 2 speakers, and the staff has been incredible. And that is exactly what I wanted to say, so that they got that public recognition of working under an incredibly tight time frame with individuals that you might expect would have dissenting opinions, questions, and things like that. It's been marvelous. I just want to thank you.
Thank you so much for coming. Commissioner Flowers.
Just real quick, I want to say a super kudos thank you to All Children's, Johns Hopkins. I say All Children's. My grandson was born prematurely, weighing 3 pounds, and the service there was absolutely fabulous. And just recently, I had a great-granddaughter who was born weighing 2 pounds. Her mom had preeclampsia, and that, sent things awry. And then upon birth, she had 2 holes in her heart. And so you all just were phenomenal. And so she's home now, eating, and doesn't cry, but eats. That's a good thing. But I just wanted to say thank you, because you all have been the face of excellence. When I worked at Bayfront Medical Center, all of the heart surgeries, heart transplants were done. And so we'd be wheeling the patients through the tunnel to go over, and DBQ, Dykhoff, Potenza, and Quantizera were the main physicians for those. And so I just remember even then, the service was absolutely wonderful and marvelous, and I just want to thank you all for continuing to do that, and the wonderful partners you are with the community. So just wanted to say that publicly and say thank you for all that you do. I'm sure I can't thank everybody around there, but just thank you.
Yes, and thank you for your leadership. We appreciate you. So, next, any other comments? Got a motion and a second from Commissioner Flowers, and if we bring up the voting card. And enthusiastically, that passes unanimously, and congratulations to all the hard work from the staff and all the hospitals. This is a great thing, and it's just better for our citizens, so thank you very much. We're going to move on to the consent agendas, number 10 through 13.
17.
We got a motion to approve, a second from Commissioner Justice. We bring up the voting, or no, I'm sorry, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition? That passes unanimously. So we'll go on to number 18. Barry?
Item number 18 is an agreement with Amadeus Airport IT Americas. It's a common use passenger processing system that's recommended by Allegiant, and we recommend your approval.
We got a question from Commissioner Scott.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Is this an existing contract, or is this something new
Tom.
that we're doing?
Good morning, Tom Giesbury, Airport Director. No, this is a new contract.
Okay. So could you just kind of explain a little bit of what it is? Is this something that the airlines would historically have done on their own, or kind of how does this?
Yeah, this provides a lot of efficiencies for the airport. Historically, the airlines provide their own system. This allows any airline coming into it to use, to connect to it, whether it's a departure gate area or ticket counter.
Is this consistent with what other airline or other airports around the country are doing?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Okay, any other questions or comments? I'm looking for a motion. Motion from Commissioner Flowers. Second from Commissioner Justice. If the clerk could bring up the voting cards, commissioners can vote. And that passes unanimous. We'll go on to number 19.
This is a First Amendment to Memorandum of Understanding with Pinellas County School Board for capital improvement funding for hurricane shelter retrofits. There are a number of changes. They're listed within your packet. Kathy Perkins is available for any questions.
Okay, any questions or discussions? All right, we got a motion from Commissioner Justice, second from Commissioner Flowers. If we bring up the voting card, commissioners vote. That passes unanimous. We're going to move on to number 20.
This is a letter of support for the redevelopment of Rainbow Village Public Housing within Ridgecrest.
Any questions or comments? We've got a motion from Commissioner Eggers, second from Commissioner Flowers. Pull up the voting card. Commissioners can vote. That passes unanimous. We're going to go on to number 21.
This resolution is granting historic preservation ad valorem tax exemptions for 4 properties within the city of St. Petersburg.
Okay, we've got a motion from Commissioner Justice, second from Commissioner Scott. Will we bring up the voting card? Commissioners can vote. Okay, we'll move on to, that passes unanimous. We can move on to number 22.
This is the National Flood Insurance Program Community Rating System Annual Report.
Okay, commissioners. Dave Eggers, Commissioner Eggers, we have,
Barry, this is the one where I just wanted a little conversation about the differences between our flood maps and the FEMA flood maps, and how it is different on the coast side versus the bay side, and what those implications are for, potential implications for development community. Thank you.
Okay, so Kelly's coming up, and I'll let her talk about the vulnerability assessment. Let me just kind of give you kind of an overview. Vulnerability assessment's a state of Florida approved process that they are encouraging. It is actually done through the University of Florida as a contract agency. We receive grants from the state of Florida to be able to conduct this vulnerability assessment, and it's looking at map storm data. So you have your flood maps, but it also looks at actual storms and the impacts of those storms and recommends adjustments to those maps based upon that storm data. So that was done, and what it showed is where FEMA maps were going down, we had flooding in areas that where people would have had damage. What that means is that you have that base flood elevation to where if they're improving the property by more than 50%, then those would kick in. So I'll let Kelly kind of go through that, and she can kind of show you the differences between those maps. This is very similar to what Pasco County is going through right now.
Kelly Hammer-Levy, Public Works Director. So what you're looking at right now is an overview of the countywide changes from what we call the 2003 FIRM, or the Flood Insurance Rate Map, to the 2021 FIRM. They're doing some, okay, thank you guys. So what you see is overwhelmingly, the county didn't have a lot of changes. So about 71% of the area stayed the same. I should clarify that this was a coastal study. They did not look at inland areas, even though we have a lot of inland flooding related to creeks and things like that. So this was really focused on the coast. You see 12% of that 25% quarter of the county. Basically what we saw was a significant decrease in the elevation of the base flood elevation. Then about 3% in the pink, what we saw, they were previously in a high vulnerability area or a high risk flood zone, move into a moderate or a low zone. And that is largely along the Gulf Coast. So, I mean, yeah, there are some areas, some other areas in the county, but that was really concentrated along the coast. And then when you look at the Tampa Bay side, what we saw was in the dark blue, about 8% of the area where the base flood elevations went up significantly. And then in the green area, which is 1%, we saw low or moderate, properties that were in a low or moderate flood zone move into a high zone. And that's largely because this is the first time FEMA actually looked at the bayside flooding. They actually modeled it, and what you're seeing out of that modeling is basically that water pushing up into Tampa Bay. So that was, we were not as surprised to see those elevations go up on the bayside. We were surprised to see them go up that much. We were very surprised to see the Gulf side go down. So now I'm going to pop up the difference between the previous maps, the 2003 FIRM, to the vulnerability assessment. And basically, what we're seeing is about again, 71% of the area had no change at all. And what we're seeing is about 23% had an increase of 1 foot. That's the difference, 1 foot. 2% had no change, and 3% had 2 feet of increase. So really, there wasn't a significant difference between the vulnerability assessment and the map change. There was about a 1 foot variability in that change. I also wanted to add to something that Barry spoke to, is that we also use this per the state of Florida's requirements to meet the peril of flood requirements in our comprehensive plan. The governor signed into law 2 bills in the last year and again this year, requiring vulnerability assessments to be eligible for state funding through the resiliency program. So that's, we definitely want to be compliant with those criteria so that we can be eligible for those funds. We also use this data to help do our capital planning, and it's part of our local mitigation strategy. So while it is used for our floodplain ordinances, it's also used for a host of other things to make sure that we are keeping our community safe from flooding to the extent that we can.
Appreciate that. And perhaps maybe, Kelly, we can offline take a look at this a little bit more. I just want to understand it a little better so that when I'm asked questions about it, I can actually respond with some degree of understanding of what you're talking about. For me, it's almost like when FEMA tells us one thing, we think maybe it should be another. That difference should be almost our decision on a case-by-case basis, and not have maps that are just set in stone that may or may not work. To Barry's comment earlier about storm data, vulnerability assessment, add that to the FEMA maps and it has some adjustment. But I think, again, would you say 25%, 26% of the area changed by a foot or two? It's still an area, and there might be projects within an area that don't have that same. They get caught up in it, and we don't have that flexibility to provide any other look at a particular development. So I just throw that out as, not for what we're voting or talking about today, but just in general. Just want to be sensitive to those.
And I should clarify too, on the Tampa Bay side, because FEMA is so much higher than the vulnerability assessment, we can't go lower. Even though we feel very confident that our modeling was strong, FEMA's requirements on the Bay side and in those blue areas is higher, and we can't.
I looked at it real simply, like, it used to be like this, it went up and down over here. We have to do the going up part. The going down, we can make it tougher, I guess, or more
A little bit more stringent.
I just want to make sure I understand that stringent piece and how some flexibility by project might work. So anyway, thank you for your explanation.
Commissioner Scott.
Appreciate it. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And just questions for understanding, since this was before my time. Did we as a commission vote on making those changes, or was that a staff decision? So the commission voted on that? Okay.
The commission voted.
Okay, if you could, I've never seen those before. If you could share those, that would be
I can
great.
absolutely send you the presentation and everything that goes with it, yes.
And every other jurisdiction that was impacted by this. So all of the communities, so we're only doing the unincorporated, so each individual community had to have that same vote.
Did they all adopt it?
They did, except for one?
They did a lot of different things. A lot of them added more freeboard. Some of them did nothing. Some of them let the elevations drop significantly. So people are building lower. But we also want to think about what that has now done to flood insurance, because risk rating 2.0 is in place. They are now using very specific, it's kind of a black box model, and we're still trying to understand it to determine flood insurance rates, but they are not using just the old data that they used to have and just using a map elevation for your determination of flood insurance. So that is also kind of factored into the entire picture of what's happening with risk out there.
But let's take that for a sample. We just went through some pretty bad flooding in certain areas. Some of those areas, I mean, that's exactly what we're talking about. We're not talking about impacting existing homes. It's when they renovate more than 50% is to get that elevation increase. And so it's your only time to really become resilient for all the future storms for the next 50 years before you renovate again. And so each community has to decide that, and each community has some differences. Some have differences on what they allowed in terms of density and address it that way. Some have most have adopted some form of a vulnerability assessment. Some haven't. That's the inconsistency that, unfortunately you live with when you have 24 communities.
Right.
I would,
I guess there's a question too of just property, how does it affect property values as well? I mean, do we know how many parcels are now subject to the 50% rule that weren't previously? And then maybe how many that were subject to it on the Bay side that are no
Well, they all
longer?
were subject to it. The question is,
Right.
is if they renovate by more than 50%, then they have that additional freeboard, so that additional protection level that they would have to build to. So it depends on how many are undergo that. Most homes don't go through something that significant that triggers this, but those that do are going to renovation, that's when this would trigger. So it's hard to predict because you don't know how, I mean, many homes have been there for 50 years and, you know, they've never triggered something that would trigger these regulations.
Is it 50% of the original value or market value of the property?
it's the value, replacement value. So it's,
So it brings it up to, because some of these homes, maybe old as the hills, but we use today's terms.
what I'm thinking of, like, I mean, to Barry's discussion about the storms. So the folks who had their houses completely flooded 2 or 3 times this past year. You know, when they were gutting their houses and all of that, when they basically had to go through, a contractor or realtor had to go, someone with expertise had to go through that analysis and say, how much is it going to cost to put this back? And if it triggered that threshold, then the house could not be remodeled again in its current state. It would have to be elevated.
You said 50%.
And
Above what?
It's
Above
50%
what
of the,
value?
Of the value
to rebuild it.
to basically
Not retail.
what it's worth. So not,
Today's dollars.
yes, it's,
That's-
yeah.
I just want to make sure we weren't using old dollars and adding new dollars on, because then everybody would have to do it.
Yeah,
If you didn't bring it all up. So that's all I wanted to make sure that we're using today's dollars in both cases.
correct, yeah, it's not an old number.
Well, maybe sometime, Kelly, you can help educate me a little bit.
Oh, yes, I can sit you down with Lisa. Unfortunately, our expert of experts could not be here today, so I muddled through as best I could. But I'll also include, we have a matrix of what all the cities have done. Some of them didn't want to wait. We were trying to work through finalizing our vulnerability assessment right up to the last minute, and some of the cities did not want to wait and have the FEMA maps go into effect. So in order to achieve a similar outcome, they added more freeboard. So, you know, one example is, I believe, Bel Air Shore, they added 4 feet of freeboard on top of the base flood elevation to compensate for that. So there are different ways to do it.
But if you want to have individual meetings, we'd be happy to have that, Lisa sit down and go through that, and Kevin from a building,
gonna say
you know,
Kevin.
standpoint, so you can kind of apply it.
Yeah, just so we understand those implications for folks that may be building for the first time or
Renovating.
to the greater
yeah.
than 50% of the rehab. What does it mean in terms of that developer and the new homeowner, really the new homeowner, what they have to do? What is the actual implication? Just to understand that is important.
We'll ask them to set up individual meetings with you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Any other comments or discussions? Okay, I would entertain a motion. Got a motion by Commissioner Justice, second by Commissioner Flowers. The clerk could bring up the voting card. And that passes unanimously. We'll move on to number 23.
23 is an easement between Board of Trustees of the Internal Improvement Trust Fund, State of Florida, and Shore Drive Bridge, for the Shore Drive Bridge Replacement Project, so we can do our project.
Any questions, discussion? Got a motion from Commissioner Scott, second from Commissioner Flowers. We can bring up the voting card. Commissioners, please vote, and that passes unanimously. We're going to move on to number 24.
This is specific purpose survey for maintained right-of-way on Fisher Road. I think you were individually briefed on this.
Any questions or comments? Commissioner Scott?
This is probably a Jewel question. So the red line on the boundary there, which would be I guess that would be the property owner's line, right, that is right at the road? Is there any restriction to what the property owner can do up to that red line?
I will defer to staff as to what the red line on there means. I assume that's what it is. It does indicate maintained right-of-way line. As far as what the property owners can do on their property, they'll be able to do anything that's consistent with the code. This really doesn't change much of anything for them. There is right-of-way there now. By operation of law, that's really, it's the county's to maintain already. The county already has an obligation to maintain that right-of-way. This action that staff's asking you to simply puts everybody on notice, formally as to the existence of right-of-way there, but simply put, they'll be able to do anything on their property that's consistent with county code.
Okay, thanks.
Any other questions or discussion? I do have one public comment. William Carmen Goodwin? William and Carmen Goodwin, I'm sorry. Yeah, if you set it down on that paper, a picture will come up on the screen.
Okay. All right. Are we ready? Okay.
And state your name and your address, and you have 3 minutes.
Yes. Hello. My name is Carmen Goodwin, and this is my husband, Dale Goodwin. He goes by Dale. We are at 3652 Fisher Road in Palm Harbor. I am a Florida native. I was born in Dunedin 42 years ago. My husband came to Florida from West Virginia in 1989. We have 3 kids in the elementary, middle, and high school, and hopefully we will have a graduating IB senior this year. We don't know yet. You may know our families. My granddad was Tony Renardo. He had a garage in Tarpon Springs in the 1960s on Alt 19. It's now a fruit stand run by my brother. My parents started the fruit stand in Odessa on Keystone Road. We lived on 20 acres. My husband, South family, has been in this area forever. If you've been to the Palm Harbor Museum, you may have seen his grandmother's house, which is the old Orange Grove house that resides at the museum now. We bought our house on Fisher Road in 2015 from Ruthie. Her father built the house. We still maintain contact with Ruthie. We bought the house in order for our kids to have a semblance of a childhood that we had, but 12 minutes from my mom and 12 minutes from his mom. So it was like the grandparents on either side, equal distance. Nobody can be upset that we moved closer to one and not the other. We thought it was 1.25 acres when we bought it. It was a great deal. We have increased the bird and butterfly population. We have gopher tortoises in the backyard. We did not have air conditioning for a year. Both my husband and I redid the roof by ourselves. Don't worry, we pulled a permit. We have been trying to figure out the road issue for a while. My main concern when I first found out that we didn't really have 1.25 acres of usable land. We had 1 acre, and there's a road through it since 1922. It was put in the wrong place. So my main issue was if someone, because there's a car dealership down the road, and they gun the cars down that road to test, to see how fast they'll go. My main issue was not that, we have unusable property. My issue was if someone gets hurt, who's liable? So I started asking around. No one in Public Works could tell me what was going on. We actually had eggers out to our property to stand there with us and watch the cars go by. And I really appreciated him caring enough to come out. But the road, supposedly there's a storm drainage. I have a picture of my son standing in a flood, so the storm drainage must not be working, but we don't have one. We've never had one. The road is shoddily maintained. When there's cars coming and you have to get off the road, you're hitting potholes all along the side. Trucks are not allowed down there. Trucks come down there all the time. Buses come down there. We just wanted the right thing to be done, and that's to fix a mistake that was made in 1922, either buy the property or move the road where it's supposed to be. That's basically what we want.
Thank you. So just to be clear, they're against item number 24. Any questions or discussion? Microphone, Commissioner. Thank you.
Can somebody from
Commissioner Eggers?
staff come back up and just explain a little bit what we're trying to do here, what the contention is? I just want to make sure I'm clear. I know we sat through one of these similar type discussions on another piece of property in another area of the county, but let's talk about this property on the west side, which is where their homes are, and if there's any issues at all on the east side, and I just want to make sure I'm clear. Thank you.
Okay. Kelly Hammer-Levy, Public Works Director. We are just speaking about the west side of the road. There are no issues on the east. So basically, what we are doing is going through the process to identify and map out the right-of-way. So back prior to 1940, maybe a little bit before that, the process by which roads were created was through a petition process. And in 1922, petitions by citizens and freeholders to the Board of County Commissioners to establish a public road. In August of 1922, Fisher Road was called Central Community Cemetery Road, and it was declared a public highway. It does appear on the 1925 Board of County Commissioners maps of the roads of the county, and also appears in the 1926 aerials. There is also laws of Florida from, I believe it's 1949, that declared those roads in the county at that time to be county roads. So what we have done is, in concert with the county attorney's office, we went out and we basically, as closely as we could, identified the right-of-way where we have performed maintenance. And a lot of that is tied to the asphalt line. We surveyed that line. We're very, very conservative to only identify those areas for which we do maintain or needed for maintenance. And that is what we are here today for, is to basically clean up the right-of-way map in this area so that we can complete the upcoming resurfacing project, which will obviously make the road condition a lot better.
So the roadway itself, if you look at the roadway, then there's a little apron off the side of the roadway. I'm not seeing that picture in here right now, but there's a little apron about is that the area that we're maintaining, that and the road itself, or are we maintaining into the grass area? Or,
The line is very close to the edge of asphalt. So it may cross just a little bit, but we were very, very conservative. Staff literally kicked back the dirt and the grass so that we could find that edge where we were maintaining, where we had maintained the asphalt. So that's all we are doing, is identifying that line of maintenance so that we can do the next project.
What's that width area that we're talking about?
It varies per property depending on how because the asphalt's not like a perfectly straight line. So we followed the line. It is way less than 3 feet, yes, yeah.
Okay, any other questions or comments or discussion? We got a motion to approve from Commissioner Scott.
Second.
Second from Commissioner Long. If the clerk could bring up the voting cards. Who are we missing? Me? And that passes unanimously. We'll move on to number 25.
Item number 25 is an agreement with the City of Largo for reimbursement of funds towards the construction of a fire station. This is for the unincorporated area portion of their district, which represents 14% of their overall district in the unincorporated.
Second.
Got a motion from Commissioner Justice, second from Commissioner Eggers. If you could bring up the voting card. And that passes unanimously. Number 26.
It's an application to receive E911 trust fund monies from the state of Florida for a refresh of their Vesta E911 phone system.
Second.
We have a question we have a motion from Commissioner Flowers, a second from Commissioner Long, but a question from Commissioner Scott.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Does the state always pay for these?
Jim is on his way up.
Good morning, Jim Fogarty, Director of Safety and Emergency Services. This is a grant, E911 grant application. It's eligible for the state to pay for it. It doesn't mean it's subject to the grant approval process.
Okay. And then what are the annual support costs, and will that be a fiscal '25 budget request?
Yes, the annual support for the Vesta is contained within a contract with Carousel Industries for the maintenance of this computer hardware and software.
This will be an ongoing, you currently have a
Yes, we have.
contract in place.
Vesta is a call answering system for 911. There are two versions of that, one in St. Petersburg and one in Pinellas County 911. This is the St. Petersburg one.
Okay, got it. So the annual maintenance is not going to be a separate ask, we're already paying for that.
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions, comments? Okay, I entertain a motion.
Madam
Oh,
Chair.
I'm sorry, we did, from Flowers and Long, we had it. So if the clerk could bring up the commissioners' vote. What are we missing? And that passes unanimously. Number 27.
It's an interlocal agreement with the City of Pinellas Park for the sale and purchase of wholesale portable water. This is
Second.
renewal.
Okay, we got a motion from Commissioner Scott and a second from Commissioner Justice. Clerk could bring up the voting card. One more. Commissioner Flowers? That passes unanimously. And we'll go on to county attorney reports.
As I indicated to you in the work session last week, it is our intent to move forward on the advice of outside counsel, the consortium that has represented Pinellas County in various lawsuits related to the opioid epidemic. We did go back and look at our agreement with outside counsel, and as I mentioned last week, we framed that in such a way that given the timeframes involved with some of the filings that we needed to make, we didn't need to come back to the board to request specific authority. We included in there, as advised by outside counsel, to bring in other parties deemed, relevant to the ongoing issues. So I do not believe that a vote is necessary, but I wanted to bring to your attention that we have been recommended by outside counsel to join a lawsuit against the pharmacy benefit managers that have played a role in this, allegedly. You all know that we have filed suit against the manufacturers, the distributors. I believe some marketing companies have been involved. This is now the pharmacy benefit managers. So assuming there is not opposition to us moving forward, we do intend on following the advice of outside counsel and filing a new lawsuit in regard to the pharmacy benefit managers. So assuming no opposition, we will instruct them to proceed accordingly.
We have a Commissioner Eggers.
So when you say pharmacy managers, are those companies?
They are. Those are all corporations. Two of them that I will say here, one of them is somebody that the county uses, Express Scripts. Has nothing to do with the litigation, our contract with them. This is outside the purview of that. Two that I see here are Express Scripts and Optum RX. They're large companies that manage pharmacy benefits. And not going to speak to specifics, but I know that much of what we have seen with the pharmacies themselves, like Walgreens and some of the others, are, allegations that perhaps they should have seen the abundance of pills passing through. So I can't speak to all the specifics, but I know that those are some of the issues that have been raised in prior lawsuits.
I just have some buddies that used to be managers within stores. I just wanted to make sure we were talking about big managers of companies.
Big
Yeah, I got
companies,
you.
big managers, yes, absolutely. We are not talking about individuals. We are talking about corporations that have been identified.
Thank you.
So
Appreciate it.
do you need consensus or anything, or just no opposition?
I was just really bringing it forward to let you all know, and like I said, if I saw some kind of opposition, we would have taken a step back and regrouped.
Is that all you have? All
Yes, it
right.
is.
Move on to county administrator reports.
So, Commissioners, I brought up the issue of public camping, and it was raised earlier today during the legislative agenda. The sheriff has formed a team that's working with the police chiefs, Lourdes, Karen, myself, and really talking about the impact of this bill. Now, that's assuming the governor signs it, but, you will not see, I don't believe, in this county where there isn't capacity, because we have safe harbor, and we have sufficient capacity at safe harbor. So it is currently illegal. In most cities, there are ordinances against camping on public lands and parks. The enforceability is always an issue. And so our approach is there's going to be an education campaign working with the chiefs of police and with the sheriff through their offices about what the new requirements are and offering services, offering a trip, to Safe Harbor, to other places where shelters and things like that. From our standpoint, we have reallocated funds for a couple of counselors to be at Safe Harbor, to be able to assist them in receiving other types of services. We're going after some grants for mental health services and things like that to be able to boost up capacity within Safe Harbor. But, as I said, I think on Thursday, this is going to be like squeezing a balloon, in some ways. And so we're going to have to monitor it. We're going to have to work with our social service agencies. We have our Homeless Leadership Board is there, along with others from the various cities. And we're going to have more discussions as this gets implemented. And we'll see what our success is or what the outcomes are. I also, not being in that field, also learned that there's a period during, the wintertime that people come here. And so there's an increase in population. And so they're going to try to address strategies to prevent that from happening. And so there's a number of pieces to this. I can tell you there's a task force working on it of people in this field. And so we'll report back as this develops and be happy to answer any questions if I can answer them.
Okay. Any questions, comments? Okay. Then we're going to go on to number 30. And I believe we have to choose one. Thank you.
The board has selected Lisa Smith for appointment to the Pinellas Opportunity Council by a vote of 5-2.
Okay, and next we're going to move on to the appointments to the South St. Petersburg Community Redevelopment Area Citizens Advisory Committee. And I believe we are picking 3.
The board has selected William Cloyd with 6 votes, J. James Marzilli with 6 votes, and Emily Socash with 5 votes.
Okay. So then we'll go on to Commissioner's new business. And I'm going to start on this side today, Commissioner Latvala.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I apologize because I will mispronounce this, but yesterday I had the honor of participating in the Yom HaShoah reading at the Florida Holocaust Museum for Holocaust Remembrance Day, and reading a list of names that were victims, part of the 6 million victims of the Holocaust. Hopefully that will never happen again in our history. This past Saturday, I participated with you and Commissioner Justice at the Lift Gala. It was a very fun event. And also in other news, Commissioner Flowers and I have been working on the Workforce Consortium merger that's taking place. And my mother has, when I was little, she told me if I didn't have anything nice to say about somebody, don't say anything at all. I will say, and this is not, of course, directed at Commissioner Flowers, because she has done a wonderful job on the consortium. But there is a participant over in Hillsborough that has not gotten that same memo and has been has a bit of a Napoleon complex, but which will make future Tri-County meetings interesting. Hopefully we will have a special meeting of the consortium to go over some issues that we are having with them. But Commissioner Flowers is doing a great job representing Pinellas, and we are hard at work protecting our interests. That is all that I have.
Commissioner Eggers.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just a couple of things. Palm Harbor Library had their 46th anniversary last Friday night. It was absolutely packed. It was great for all the families, kids, a lot of opportunities to learn more about the library. So great job to all of the staff and many, many, many volunteers who have different involvement with the library. So great job. Really appreciated Brian Lowak, and Barry for putting together that joint TDC Board of County Commissioners, to you as well, Chair. It was a really good meeting. I think we had a lot of great discussion. Talked about infrastructure, talking about things that are going on now that take away from some of that attraction when our visitors come here, and what can we do to improve some of those infrastructure issues or traffic issues or whatever. But I thought it was a really good conversation. And I too attended the Holocaust reading on Monday. I'm not going to try to say that thing because I will mess it up as well, but it is really an amazing experience if you go in, get a little time to think through the history of what happened. It's very solemn and very special time, and I really appreciate the opportunity to do that. Also want to thank staff and the chair's office for a letter sent to Duke Energy to kind of get their attention, kind of pause. I met with Urban Forestry yesterday. There's certainly, without question, Duke could have done a better job of educating and informing the public about the rationale behind some of their efforts. But I stand ready to listen to them when they come meet with staff and also perhaps come to a future meeting here. Looking forward to an all-day meeting at the committee as a whole in St. Petersburg about the development of the Tropicana site, not the stadium piece, it's the development piece, to learn more about that aspect of the city-county raise deal going forward. 43rd Clearwater Officer Memorial is on May 10th, coming up, 10 o'clock. And two other final things. First, on the CRC meeting, We have one more meeting, kind of a working meeting, and then 2 public hearings. And those 2 public hearings will basically be an opportunity for the public to engage in anything that's going on. They're typically pretty short meetings, and we take final votes. We need 7 votes to move something forward to November for consideration by the voters of Pinellas County. Things that are, we're looking at few things. Term limits seem to be moving forward as three terms with a 4-year cooling off period, 3 4-year terms, 4-year cooling off period. Again, this will be confirmed next month after the 2 public hearings, but a lot of discussion about city manager, county administrator, mayoral form of government as they do in Tampa and in St. Petersburg. It won't be going forward, although the committee was pretty split, actually, on whether to consider that further in discussion. We kind of tabled it for this committee, but I do think it's something that, after the fact, maybe this commission could at least have some discussion about that topic in the form of a separate committee that we form, just to look into it a little bit more. There's an awful lot to unpack there if we really want to even consider that for our residents to vote on. And I really didn't think that our short abbreviated time on the CRC would do it justice. So for now, that item's not on there. There's about 3 or 4 items that we'll be looking at, but the hiring and firing process of the county attorney being more in line with that of the county administrator is another one. And then the final one is really giving our residents, when they want to put something on the ballot, a less stringent restrictions on them. So it'll be probably go from 8% to 5%, an 8-month period to do that. That's not a change, but so just giving a little bit more leeway for our residents to bring forward an item to be voted on by the residents. And then just a little fun story. I was out walking and running and saw an area where the sidewalks were absolutely horrible. So I fixed the Click Fix app. Kelly educated me up and said that immediately goes to a request for work service. And next week I was out there and the sidewalks were dug up and they're getting ready to pour new sidewalks in there. And that's just great. And so I would just encourage residents, if you see things out there, report it. Our folks take that very seriously and they respond to it in short order. So anyway, great work to Public Works, a great job for Public Works. Thank you. That's all I had, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Commissioner Long.
Yes, Madam Chair, I did have 2 items, but upon reflection, I've decided to forego one of them till I have a more in-depth discussion with Barry. Secondly, I wanted to put on your radar, if it's not already, that the Sustainability and Resiliency Conference or seminar or workshop or whatever they're calling it this year begins on Thursday out at the Clearwater Hilton. And I would like to invite all of you to attend the awards luncheon on Friday at 12:30 if you're not able to attend the whole conference. So there is a registration for the lunch. Maybe just contact our office if you'd like to go, and we'll make the appropriate whatever. Great.
That's at 12:30?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
That's all. Thank you.
Commissioner Flowers.
Why, thank you. I'll just piggyback on what Commissioner Long just said. So far, we're doing really well as it relates to registrations and whatnot. So if you do want to attend, just let us know, even if you just want to attend the luncheon so that you can receive the award that the county will be honored with. That would be absolutely fabulous. And if you have any issues or concerns when you're trying to reach out, just let me know, please, and I'm happy to assist. As I already shared, I attended the COC meeting, and the main topic was the camping, sleeping outside, or sleeping in your car. Barry did cover the other part that I was going to cover, which is whether or not you have availability for those individuals to go to a place. And as long as you have that availability, you give them that option. But one great question that came up was, so what would those individuals be charged with? Because now they'll have a record if they didn't have one before. I questioned, what if they have children? They're sleeping in their cars, they have children, they'll be separated from their children. That's a much larger issue. And then the other was, how long would they remain in jail? And of course, that would be up to the judge. So the representative from the sheriff's office couldn't answer that. And then the other piece is that depends on the circumstances. So I'm just really glad to hear you guys are still, working on it and communicating on it. That's super good. And the gentleman, the officer who attends on behalf of the sheriff's office is just been super helpful, I think, in providing us with information and updates. And having a sense of empathy about the whole situation. So I just didn't want that to not be said. So it's been the communication has been going well. Excuse me, Lakewood High School will honor its Hall of Famers. They started this last year, honoring individuals who either play football or basketball there at the school. So they'll be honoring their Hall of Famers. If you'd like to attend, it's a free event. I'll make sure that we send that information out to any of you who may want to attend and cheer those Hall of Famers on. Academy Prep will be honoring on Friday of this week. They will be honoring the fabulous females. They have that every year. One of my dear friends, I won't be able to attend because I'll be at the Resiliency Conference, but Esther Eugene Matthews will be one of the recipients along with 4 other fabulous young ladies. So I don't know if any of you have planned to attend that event, but that should be really good. The Career Source, all I can say is I have taken a whole bottle of Tylenol, and thank you, Commissioner Latvala, for recognizing the challenges and the hard work. I would be remiss if I did not say that Barry has been extremely helpful, because I can't talk to Chris, I can't talk to you guys, I can't talk to anybody, so Barry has to be the one to listen to me. And he has been very understanding, and I want to let you know publicly that I appreciate that. Dr. Cynthia Johnson came off of the advisory committee so that she could advise and we could work together. Gray Robinson, the legal counsel, has been very good in communicating with me, so that's all I'm gonna say for that. I attended the Black Maternal Health Workshop. It was absolutely wonderful last weekend. There was Dr. Marilyn Fudge, who is an OBGYN with, they call it Baby Place now, over at All Children's Baby Place. Representative Rayner, Angela Roussan, and Council Chair, St. Petersburg City Council Chair Deborah Fick Sanders. It was all about some of the issues that women have when giving birth or trying to become pregnant or having preeclampsia or other medical issues. The event was very well attended. Bay News 9 did come and pick it up. And as a result of the dialogue and conversation, we're going to have a part 2 where we include the husbands and/or significant others of those trying to conceive and the difficulties that they deal with. Because it was very eye-opening for a lot of people. So it was really, really good, and I'll share information for the upcoming one if you desire to attend. I also attended a women's conference at Southside Tabernacle, because as women, we are trying to be all things to all people, and sometimes we just have to let it go. And so that was a very good conference on just being able to let it go, something I have not mastered yet, but I'm still working on it. I also attended the Yom Hushua event, being able to call out the names. That's kind of emotional when you start calling out the children's names, because they ask that you say the first and last name and the age. So you get a little choked up when you get to 6-year-old and 3-year-old, or 0 meaning infant. But always a pleasure to be able to share. And Commissioner Eggers was leaving out of one way as I was coming in the other, so we were passing in the day one to another. The Pinellas County Urban League will be hosting its Whitney M. Young Luncheon on May 23rd at 5:30 p.m. And so I put in a request for a table purchase. This will be the first scholarship that will be presented from my brother-in-law, Reverend Watson L. Haynes II. So it's going to be really special for his wife and family. So if you're able, I've asked Arlena to share the information with your aides to see if you're able to attend. If so, that would be absolutely wonderful. And that is all.
Okay, Commissioner Justice.
Thank you, Madam Chair. A lot of activity and wonderful events happening in our community since last we met. Several of us were at the topping off ceremony for the Holocaust Museum as they do their expansion and security upgrades. They got a nice state grant for that, but also Tourist Development Council funded that as well. I saw Commissioner Eggers. I must have missed you yesterday at the reading of the names, but an incredibly special time to be at the Holocaust Museum.
I saw you as you were reading.
Okay,
Yeah.
it was, and but it's really a special day there. Several of us were at the ribbon cutting for the Innovare housing development in St. Petersburg. The JWB Awards Lunch, where they honored Carol Cook for her lifetime of service to the community. They had a chance to present to the Leadership St. Pete 2024 class. Commissioner Flowers and Lat Val and I were at the Clearwater for Youth event, which is by far one of the coolest events of any banquet that you can go to in this community. Mark your calendar for next year. Anywhere where you can go in flip-flops and not a coat and tie is a wonderful, wonderful event. Wanted to thank Barry and Della and the entire team for everything they did to put on the employee appreciation picnic last week. That was just such a nice time to see the employees out. A lot of times it takes a while. You have to go up and really look at the person because they're in a hat and sunglasses and bathing suit rather than coat and tie. But a chance to just relax with the employees. And it really just seemed this year was everyone was really taking a nice deep breath, and so that was really a wonderful afternoon to be with all our employees. Wanted to share with you that Ring door cameras, the Ring system, and Amazon and USA Aging, Ring is donating 5,000 video cameras for seniors all over America to provide some safety and security for them and their families. And the first one, thanks to Congressman Bilirakis, the first spot where that was rolled out was at the Area Agency of Aging in Pinellas Pasco and our seniors here. So a great program, and appreciate the Congressman's support there. And then the last thing is that I didn't get a count, but I will tell you that my SUV was overflowing with cereal last week as I delivered it to the Feeding Tampa Bay semi-truck at Publix. And there were other organizations that have a lot more people engaged than ours, and we were right with them as far as quantity. So I really appreciate the Attorney's Office, the Administrator, BTS, Communication, and everyone in the fifth floor that made this happen. So thank you very much.
Great, thank you for leading that up. That was really a wonderful thing to do. Commissioner Scott.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I want to thank Russ Kimball with the Sheridan Sankey for hosting the joint BCC TDC meeting last week, and I'm not sure if I had to fight Commissioner Justice off for the bacon or if he had to fight me off, but I certainly want to give a shout out to Russ for providing the. That was also in the back of my car. Yeah, right. He always does a great job. I attended the open house, Friday of last week for the new Clearwater Dental Clinic at 1700 McMullen Booth Road. I want to congratulate, and I'm probably going to destroy this name, so I apologize in advance, Dr. Nadia Pokrovskaya, who relocated her practice from Massachusetts to Clearwater, Florida, and hired 11 new employees. So a big shout out to her and congratulations to her. I was also a reader yesterday for Yom HaShoah, and as I think probably all of us were, and you know, when I got the list of the names to read, I don't know, last week, and you open up the document and you look, and there's the names, where they're from, the day they were born, when they died, and where they died, and it just brings it to really the gravity of that situation, and particularly concerning what's going on in the world today. So I appreciate the opportunity to be a part of that very somber and reflective experience. Just a reminder, tomorrow is the 34th Annual Fallen Officer Memorial, and then Thursday is the Committee of the Whole with City of St. Petersburg. I'll be attending that. Working to fit in the Tampa Bay Resiliency Summit as best I can, and Saturday I will be participating in the Citizens Fire Academy. So that'll be fun. Looking forward to that. And then in addition to all the proclamations we did today, this is also Teacher Appreciation Week. So I would like to recognize my aunt, Susan Jones, who lives in upstate New York, who is a retired teacher, and I'm sure that she's watching today. So and that's all I have.
Great. Okay, well, I also wanted to thank, our staff and Brian Lowack's team for helping to facilitate that great conversation with the TDC and of course, Russ and the Sheridan for hosting as always. I had a meeting with the Coast Guard. I've been meeting with the Coast Guard for a couple years now. There's been concern and complaints in the Paso Grill Channel about safety. And it's been a back and forth on whose responsibility it is. So I think we've kind of come with maybe a action plan to determine what would be next. We'll be meeting with the sheriff next on that one. So we'll see how that goes, and I'll keep you updated on what's going to happen there. But as far as boaters going through Paso Grill Channel, it's on busy weekend days, it can be very dangerous. So I also met with Dr. Croney from Purdue University. Doug and Lourdes were in that meeting to talk about policies that Purdue University has been working on. Currently, most of their policies are strictly on breeders and not on retail or shelters. But it was a good conversation. They will be looking for pilot locations when they're ready for looking at policies on shelters and retail. And so I look forward to what's coming next when it does. Also spoke at the Southern Group's 25th anniversary event last week on economic development mostly. It was a great conversation, and I got the chance to give a shout out on our FEMA rating and the great work that we're doing with Pinellas Matters. We also did get a response from Duke Energy. I don't know if we've shared that letter with all of you yet, but they will be ceasing tree removal operations in Pinellas until at least May 17th, and they are meeting with Barry's team, and crews are standing outside of Pinellas County in case they are needed. Also wanted to remind, I do have an opiate abatement meeting today. I believe that's really just an update on where we are as far as our consultant that we're hiring to help with our strategic plan. Also, I wanted to mention the Pinellas County Sheriff's Office Fallen Officer Memorial, again at 10 a.m. tomorrow. I know Commissioner Scott mentioned it, but that will be at 10 a.m. And then the 60th Annual St. Pete Police Officer of the Year Award is on the 9th. And that always is a great event. And every time I've attended, the heroism of the police officers is just incredible. The stories are incredible, and they definitely are deserving of an award. So that, and I want to thank our sheriff's deputies who are always here to keep us and our citizens safe. I truly appreciate your service. We have Deputy, I hope I say this right, I believe it's Deputy Neck? Yes, ma'am. Deputy Neck and Deputy Manley, and we truly appreciate your service every single day to us and our citizens. So if there is nothing else to bring before the commission, I would look to adjourn. Have yourself a great rest of the week.